Are we all ready? All right. Call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Council and the Citizens Budget Committee of the Borough of River Edge, council chambers and virtually through Zoom special meeting. It is now 8:09 due to some technical issues. We're starting slightly late. We appreciate everyone's understanding. In a moment, could we have a moment of silent prayer for all of our servicemen and women, as well as for all those involved in the peace process and all those who are innocent people who may or may not be in the midst of battle conditions. Council President, if you could lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thought you were talking to Lisa first.
All right, statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 9th, 2026 and January 12th, 2026 of the time, date, location, and access information to the town news and the record, and by posting of the same on the municipal bulletin board and the borough website, and filing notice of the same with the municipal clerk. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Sure. Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Here.
Council President Capella.
Here.
Councilwoman Mallory.
Here.
Councilman Glass.
Here.
Woman Jariwal.
Here.
Councilman Pfeffer.
Here.
Mayor Papale.
Good. Now can we have a roll call of the Citizen Budget Committee? If you have that with you.
Ken Krautheim.
Here.
Al Roman.
Yeah.
Ray Creddy.
Here.
Donna Sanders is absent with prior notice.
And
Joe Cody.
is on his way.
Okay.
All right, so that we have that. Okay, could I have a motion second to open to public comments?
Second.
It has been moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed, any abstention? Hearing none, it is so moved. We are open. There is no one in chambers. Is there anyone virtually? No, we do not, correct?
No, it doesn't look like anybody other than.
Could I have a motion second to close to the public? Since
Moved.
Second.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to start with the fire department because of conflict of interest. We hope everybody understands that this is a slight change. And Chief Sanders, we're going to follow the following protocol. We're going to have up to 20 minutes for presentation, 10 minutes for question and answers. If the presentation needs to be longer, then the presenter can ask the council to extend beyond the 20 minutes. If the council wishes to ask more questions, it can extend itself beyond the 10 minutes. But what we're going to try to do, if possible, based on my reading and the reading of others of the budget that has been presented by the Finance Committee, is try to complete the entire budget process in one day. If that's not possible, we will absolutely go to the second Saturday. Chief Sanders, you have the floor.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. So let's start off with the capital for the fire department. Knowing what's going on with the borough and with the financing, so I have $300,000 budgeted for the replacement of the ladder truck, which is be partial funding. I'd like to drop that to $200,000. Reason being, because there a couple things came up after I submitted the budgeted stuff for this year. So with that being dropped, I also want to remove the key fob entry system at $10,000 for the $10,000. So dropping my budget to dropping that part to dropping $110,000 out of my capital. But turnout gear the price has gone up, so I like to increase that to $25,000. That's an increase of $5,000. Purchase of pagers, that I want to group in as a communication equipment. We have a base station that's located in the police department, which is probably older than a lot of us that are here today. That was actually the same base station that we used in the old, and I'm talking about old police desk back in the 70s.
Chief, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Let the record show that Mr. Gaudier is present. Chief, continue.
Okay, so the purchase of pagers is $5,000. Just to bring that up to 40, 35 would be more or less for the equipment for the new base station. And this will bring us up to the sign of the times, this we've had failures of this base station twice already this year. So it was recommended by our communications department, Goosetown, that we change over as soon as we can. Hose replacement, I have $10,000 in. That would be a item that if we didn't use it, it would go to the following year. So if we used only $2,000 next year in capital, we would only ask for $2,000. We just want to keep like a $10,000 cushion in there because hose is constantly going up. It's not cheap. So if we have to replace a couple lengths of hose after hose testing, it works out. So it looks like I've cut my budget about $35,000 for capital. Under operational, under operational.
Well, let's stay there for a second, Chief.
Okay,
for a second.
Sure.
Let's just review this. You're requesting that the draft capital budget be altered, turnout gear and equipment increased by 5 to 25,000. Purchase of pagers to be retitled communication equipment, changed from 5,000 to 40,000, which would be 35 for the communication station and 5 for pagers. You're recommending that we keep the hose replacement at 10, the multi-gas meter replacement at $950. No recommendation came, so I guess it would stay that way. Keep fob door entry system reduced from 10,000 to 0, and replacement 2003 ladder truck funding from 300,000 to 200,000, a reduction of 100,000. Is that correct, Chief?
That is correct.
All right. So since this is a draft and is not an adopted budget, and I think we're basically budget neutral in request. Does the finance chair find this acceptable to ask the body to make the changes to the draft?
Chief, thank you. I'm good with everything else, but just because this is on a needs basis, is it possible to reduce the ladder truck funding to 100,000 and make up the difference maybe next year?
Anything's possible. Yes.
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 So I would recommend that, and then everything else I'm okay with the increases because those are essential items for the fire department.
So, Chief, you said anything was possible. Are you good with changing the capital from 300,000 to 100,000?
Yeah.
All right. The replacement. So let me turn to the citizen budget. Citizens, any member of the Citizen Budget Committee have any comment about these draft changes?
I would say as long as
Mike.
I would say as long as the chief is okay with it, then I would be as well.
All right. Is there any other member of the Citizens Budget Committee who would like to chime in? Mr. Ruhlman.
Chief, I got maybe 2 questions for you. Can you tell me what the hose replacement that you currently have now?
It's based on as needed. It's not that we didn't have, we've taken it out in the past, and this is the first year we're putting it back in probably in the last 10 years.
Okay, so there's nothing in that line now?
No.
Okay, all right, that's fine then, thank you. The other question I have is I have some indications that the ladder truck has to go out of service, I guess, in 5 years because of some statute. Is that correct?
That's a possibility, but I can't guarantee it. There is a person on the Citizens Committee that has more knowledge of that. If you want to ask, if you want to bring
Chief,
it to him,
if you want to recognize someone to answer that question, you may do so.
yeah, Greg Caridi could probably answer that better than I could.
So, Al, in answer to your question, all fire apparatus are governed by the National Fire Protection Association 1900 standard, and it is a recommended standard. It is nationally followed in the country, and in there, there's a recommendation that apparatus be replaced after 25 years of service. It's only a recommendation. Many municipalities are running fire trucks that are beyond that, 28, 29, 30 years old. The fact that the apparatus are taken care of here in town, we could easily get another, several years out of that truck. So it's just a recommendation. That's all it
Okay.
is. It's not a hard fact.
Okay, I don't have any, I don't have any objections to the reduction. I'm just concerned that we're kicking something down the road that may come back to bite us later on in the future. So I was under the impression there was a requirement. If it's a recommendation, and I know you maintain your vehicles very well, so I have no objections to the change.
Mr. Kraus-Heineman? Ken?
Sorry, I was going on the same line as Al, just making sure we weren't kicking it down the can, and the can is going to hit us right in the head in 2 years or 3 years.
Excellent. Anyone else? Al, your hand is still up. Is there, Mr. Roman, does everybody mind if I just use first names?
No
Okay.
problem.
Al, you put the hand back down, I guess. Okay, council, comments, if any.
I do have just one question, Chief Sanders. On the pagers that we change into common equipment, meaning a new station and pagers, does that include soft costs and installment and maintenance? Could you elaborate on the need of that long term, and what are we looking in 27? Like, is 5,000 what we're gonna be looking at?
We continue to update our pager system. That does include the cost of programming. So we won't have to worry about programming. It's all based in one.
Okay. Okay. And how many pagers?
Sure to be about 6 to 8, depending on any increases from the Motorola.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilman.
Yes, good morning, Chief. You mentioned the budget of 10,000 for the hoses. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you said that you probably only need the 2,000, but you want to keep a few thousand extra, 8,000 extra as a cushion. First of all, am I understanding that correctly?
No, I used the 2,000 as an example. If we only used 2,000 of that 10,000, then the next capital year, next year, we would only ask for 2,000. We want to keep that 10,000 as a cushion for the future. This way, if we have to go out and make a big purchase, a length of 100 feet hose can cost almost $2,500.
Okay, thank you for that. So in light of that, I'm just wondering, because you also mentioned that the cost of hoses goes up every year. So I'm just wondering if it makes sense, and of course, it's your call ultimately, but this is just for clarification. I'm wondering if it makes sense to buy hose material or hoses in advance rather than save the money now, but end up spending more next year.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, we've always had some type of hose replacement program. We haven't had to buy hoses in the last, I'm going to say 10 years due to we got new vehicles. And when we bought the new vehicles, we incorporated new hose. So we really didn't have to buy hose. In the past couple of years, when we do our hose testing, it's shown that we've had to replace some hose older hose. I mean, our hoses probably are within 20 years and they're still really reliable. But at any time when doing testing, they could fail. And at that time, we would have to purchase them. So I think staying at 10,000 and just using it as almost like a rainy, as a slush fund would be profit us better than it wouldn't.
Understood. Thank you. I have nothing else.
Any other member of council? All right, Chief, could I have a motion second to alter the draft, understanding that it is just a draft?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Hearing none, the capital is altered to as specified. Chief, go ahead with operation.
Okay, so this should be easy because I only saw, I kept most of it the same, except for 3 items I want to change.
Chief,
Uniform,
with reference numbers?
yes.
What page is it on, Chief?
He's gonna give-
Page, I guess it says 57. It's uniform repair 032 255032.
Thank you.
It's requested that $300 are in there.
Mm-hmm.
I like to change that to 8.
Wait, where are we? Which one?
Page 57.
Yeah,
The second line, 032.
uniform?
Yes,
Uniform repair.
yes.
Change it to what?
To 800, Chief?
Yes. Now, in order to keep the operation the same amount, office supplies 036. In the past year, we only used 334. I like to drop that to 500, which would bring that down $250. And on page 58, the fire siren maintenance is at 750, which we really haven't used in the last 5 years, from 750 to 500. So there's another $250 savings. So basically, you're taking the $500 from those 2 items and putting it into the uniform repair, basically equals everything out.
Okay.
Chief, is those the only changes you're asking for in the operation draft?
Also, I'm sorry, I had page 61, software contract 196. You'll see a significant increase. That is because we had to go to a federally mandated new reporting system, and the startup cost was almost $4,000. So that will be reduced next year because we don't have to pay the startup cost. So that this is just a one-time increase.
I'm sorry, which one is that again, Chief?
Software 196.
Page 61.
Oh, I see.
Okay, Chief, anything else?
No, that's it.
Well, in a second. So, any member of Citizen Budget Committee who have a question or comment, Citizen Budget Committee members?
I just have one thing real quick, and it's not a change or anything. Page 60, it's more of a clarification. Line 190, it says reallocate cap hose. And you see $750 there. I don't want people to get confused that that's for hose. Back in 23, I think that was my last year as chief, we changed that for maintenance of the firefighter monument across the street at Company 1. And the council was gracious enough to give the fire department $750 per year. And as you can see, we've used that. So I just want to clarify that that's for the members of the budget committee and the council, that if you're looking through there and you see hose, I know we just had a discussion on hose. That line 190 has nothing to do with hose. So I don't know if there's a way, and I'll yield to the finance committee and Chris, if there's a way that can be changed, that heading, so there's no confusion in the future. That's all I have.
Chief Sanders, are you in agreement that this line should be renamed?
Yes.
And Chief Sanders, what name do you wish to rename it?
maintenance, fire monument maintenance.
Chris, Battaglia.
Hey, Chris.
Can we do that with simply a motion, or do we have to create, defund the line and create a line?
The motion's fine, and I can change that in the system live right now.
Okay, so when I ask for a motion and second from the body, this will be, the change will be also considered at the chief's request. Is there any other member of the Citizen Budget Committee has a question or comment?
I do.
You're not the Citizen Budget
Sorry. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Any member of the council who'd like to make a question or comment?
Go, Lisa.
Sure. I'm still here, Mayor. Chief Sanders, just one question on, I lost it now.
And time's up.
Training. No, no. Give me some grace here. Membership, sorry. 044, page 58. I see that consistently it's been over $1,000 and you're requesting 500. And I know we have a lot of new members, which is great. Would 500 suffice?
We appropriated last year $1,000. We only used 500.
No.
So, and that is for the Tribal Association.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a one done. That's all we have membership for.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Any other member of council? All right, could, Finance Chair, are you comfortable with these alterations to the draft budget?
Yes, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, could I have a motion and second to approve for draft sake only, the draft of the operational budget for the fire department, which includes a redesignation of one of the lines?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Chief, OEM.
That should be easy. No changes.
Okay,
Everything stays the same.
all right. Any member of the Citizen Budget Committee, you have a question or a comment about the OEM budget?
What lines are those?
Chief, what pages are OEM?
53 through 55.
And is there I thought there was something in capital. Is there anything in capital?
No, there's not.
No.
That's right. So Citizen Budget Committee members first, are there any questions or comments in regard to the OEM budget? Seeing none, council, are there any questions or comments about the OEM budget? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
We appreciate it and have a good one. We're now going to jump to where we normally begin our meeting by asking our CFO if he can do an overview of where we are. Then we're going to ask the finance chair and the finance committee to speak to the work that they've done prior to this meeting. And then from there, we'll return to department budgets with Chief Walker and the police department. Chris, you also are a co-host. So if you want to take control of the screen for any reason, feel free to do so.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm not sure if I need to, if you want me to share a document, I can share just the tax impact sheet. I'm just going to go through it very quickly. The documents that we have in front of us today are a culmination of all of the requests, all of the prior due diligence that occurred before this meeting. So they've been vetted out quite a bit already. This budget year was very difficult, and that's simply because there are a couple of line items that are not within a department that increased pretty drastically year over year. So if you look at your tax impact sheet, the increase that you see is just under 4.5%. It's a total change of about $751,000. Of that $751,000, $473,000 was the increase in the medical benefits. Yeah. Right. So you started pretty far behind just by virtue of being part of the state health benefit program. That accounts for about 62% of your total increase. All of the salary and wages combined, about $136,000 increase. It sounds like it's a lot, but that's only 1.65%, right? So you see that that's not where a big change occurred in this budget. Wastewater management, right? We use the DCUA, which is the Bergen County Utility Authority. We have arrangements with Hackensack and Paramus. The amounts combined is about $86,000 there. Those are estimates. We have not received the final numbers for 2026, and that anticipates a 5% increase in those charges, but that's $86,000. Electric and gas, just utility charges based on the new rates that occurred, $82,000. And last, and I only mention it because it's a standalone item, the library, 1/3 mil, that's another $66,000. So between those 5 items by itself, that's $844,000 increase. You see our budget's only going up by $757,000. We used $168,000 of fund balance to help offset the increases, $168,000 of additional fund balance to help offset the increases. So those 6 line items that I just gave you right there, about 90% of everything that you're looking at. When you look at that summary, you can see capital and debt service, not really material change. The operating budgets in the departments, not really material change. Both of them are $45,000. And the rest of the line items, I just gave you the largest item in each of those categories. And the only other thing that I want to mention is, I know it seems like, we're using $160,000 more of fund balance. I want to go through that really quickly. Our fund balance, if you look at our financial statement, which is actually just completed on Friday, Thursday. So it hasn't been circulated yet, but it was just filed yesterday. Yesterday was the due date for the financial statements. The number on the financial statement is $6,825,000 in fund balance. It looks like it's going down each year. Don't be alarmed. What we have been doing is we have been loaning ourselves money from our current fund to our capital account so that we don't incur larger interest payments on debt, right? We can borrow money from ourselves much cheaper than we can borrow it from the outside. So if you look at the year-over-year differences, from 2024 to 25, we went from 5.8 million to 7.3 million. And then 25 to 26, we went 7.3 to 6.8. But in that time, the loan has also grown. So if you look at the bottom line numbers after the loan, which is represented by what's called an interfund between the current fund and the general capital account, we went from 9.4 million in 2024 to 9.9 million in 2025. And then to 10.2 million in 2026. So we have been seeing a steady increase in our fund balance overall. It just doesn't appear that way on our balance sheet because of that loan that we have that does restrict our fund balance. Once we pay back that loan or we permanently finance our debt, the fund balance will go right back to where it was. And the reason why I say that is because typically what we represent our utilization of fund balances as a percentage of the total. When you look at it as a percentage of the amount on the balance sheet, you'll see that it's about 39% compared to 34% utilized last year. But when you look at it as from a total perspective, we used about 25% last year. We're using about 26% this year. So not a material change from a percentage perspective year over year. And we're utilizing what we feel we can confidently replenish. Other than that, our budget is within the appropriation cap right now. We have had some problems in the past getting very tight with the appropriation cap. We are in good shape this year, and that's because a large amount of the health benefit increase is allowed outside of cap. So we are in compliance with our current budget.
Excellent, thank you. Any member of the Citizens Budget Committee wish to ask a question or make a comment?
I just have a question. So, Chris, what is our total surplus?
So right now on the balance sheet, the total surplus is going to be $6.8 million. But when you add back in, we've got $3.4 million of interfunds to our general capital account as that loan. So the total is $10,225,000.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member of the Citizens Budget Committee?
Tom, is there
Yeah, go ahead.
is there an option to shop our
Okay.
insurance?
I'm gonna have our administrator speak to that.
Yes, to shop around for insurance, there are two different components. First, component is the number of employees that we have in insurance, and we have only about 45 or so. And they look at the last 2 years claims history. So that determines the favorability. But at the same time, under our various collective bargaining agreements, if we want to go out of the state health benefit system, it has to be a program that is equal to or better. So that really limits the options. We tried shopping around a few years ago, and no one offered the borough coverage outside of the state health benefits program. Last year, a company offered benefits at about an $90,000 savings, but it was a company that has just started providing insurance to municipalities. So since they didn't have enough of history, it was decided not to join them, because then if they go under or there are any issues, then it's a lot of regulatory bureaucratic red tape to get back on the state health benefit system.
Okay.
But we're still looking. We're still looking. I have our risk manager shopping around, looking every time I receive notifications that the state health benefits committee has met with. I look at what the reports are, and I share that with our risk manager in an effort to assist with the looking for other insurances that are more cost effective but equal to or better than what we have in compliance with our collective bargaining agreements.
Okay, thanks.
Al?
Chris, when is that loan?
Al, you gotta speak up, lean forward.
I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes, excellent.
Okay. Chris, when does that money come back, that loan? Is that a short-term loan to cover cash, or?
Yeah, it's effectively just a float that we use, right? So we borrow money annually to support our capital programs. So effectively, we're just borrowing $3.4 million less than what we would borrow on an annual basis. So should we choose to clear that loan out, we can borrow the 3.4 million more, but we would incur interest on that 3.4 million, which would probably be in the ballpark of $110,000 in interest, right? So by carrying that interfund and restricting my balance, my fund balance, I'm not incurring that extra $110,000 of interest that we would have to put in the budget each year. So my intention is to do that as long as I can get away with it for cash flow. If I got to the point where that loan got so large that it impacted our ability to utilize our fund balance, I would obviously have to pay it off. So it's really just a matter of we're only collecting 2% or so in the bank, and my borrowing cost is closer to 3.5%. So I get the arbitrage of not going to the secondary market to borrow money if I can borrow it from myself.
Okay, I understand that. I understand the cash benefit for it, but how does it get replaced into the surplus fund? Is that from cash flow that comes in?
Once we permanently fund it, we're going to have to permanently finance our capital projects eventually, right? We're just using this as a cash flow. So once we permanently finance it, that money will come in from an outside investor, and it'll be amortized, and we'll have to pay the debt down in our budget over the amortized schedule. And at that point, the cash will come into the account to reimburse the fund balance.
Okay, so we're eventually going to have to borrow money to cover that. I don't know, $2 million. Is that the?
Right now it's $3.4 million.
$0.4 million. So we're eventually going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, that's true of every capital project that we adopt forever, right? So we're just using it as a float for now to try to mitigate some of the interest expenses. We started doing it when the interest rates started going up. Basically, it was pretty shortly after COVID is when I started the loan, because it was pretty cheap to borrow money prior to that. And that period was when we had our largest capital project. So it was a bad timing from a market perspective to go out to the secondary market.
Okay, thank you. I understand that a little bit better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other member of the Citizen Budget Committee?
Mayor,
Yes.
just real quick with Chris. So when is it safe to say in a couple of years we're going to have to start paying for all this? Am I hearing you correctly or no?
Yeah, well, so what we look for is we look for a drop in our amortization schedule, and we do talk about this a little bit every year, so we should maybe go over it now. Effectively, what we do is when we're going through our capital planning, right? We're looking at our projects. We're looking, 5 years ahead, 5 years behind on what we've done, what we spent, what we plan on spending. And if you look at the budget document, there's a whole section for debt service. It's got bond principal, bond interest, note principal, note interest. Your bonds are your long-term debt. Think of that as a mortgage on your house, and your notes are short-term debt. So think of that as like a bridge loan, a construction loan on your house that you're going to permanently finance when you actually get your mortgage. So those short-term notes are only a year at a time. We stay in short-term notes until old debt falls off. So once we fully pay off old debt, you'll see a big drop in your budget in bond principal because you'll no longer have to make those principal payments. That's when we'll sell bonds again to backfill that drop with your new debt. So that'll prevent us from having like these big spikes in the budget because we're going up and down. So these notes are effectively interest only for the first 3 years. And that allows us to keep our budget in control. What we have in River Edge is we have a big drop coming in 2030. That's our next big debt service drop on bond principal. So we'll be looking to have a bond sale probably in 2029, where our first payment will come due in 2030. And that there's about a $460,000 drop that we're expecting at that point.
So would it be safe to say in 2030 is where some of these capital projects that we're, gently funding or looking to fund later would be a target year to, it would open up some funds? Is that a correct statement?
Well, they would be permanently financed. We would have a set amortization schedule, and any loan that we have from ourselves to ourselves would be paid back in full. Like I said, if there was a need, if we needed access to that fund balance at any given time, I can access the market within a week or two and get that money in and repay back that loan. There's not a benefit to us to do that right now.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to explain that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other member of the Citizen Budget Committee? Any member of the council, question or comment?
I have a quick question for our borough administrator. Equal to or better? Does that mean that that type of offering has to be available to employees? And we can make a different offering as well that they can opt for? What does that mean, equal? I understand the words, but what does it mean effectively that we have to provide across all our employees an equal to or better program? Can we also offer a less costly program? And if some of them opt into a less costly program, could we recognize maybe both of us recognize the savings there?
Not with the union's collective bargaining agreement.
Yes.
Sorry?
You have to
Not with the
negotiate.
union's collective bargaining
Mike
agreement.
Jones, Mike.
Yeah, you have to negotiate that with the unions. They have to agree to it. And if the unions don't agree to it, then you cannot do it.
Yeah. Within their collective bargaining agreements, they have that, if you're going to replace the healthcare, the program, it has to be equal to or better than. You can't just take away,
No, I'm not
their
saying-
healthcare
I'm
and give
saying
them a
We'll still offer
lesser
equal to
plan.
or better, but we'll also offer another plan that might be more cost effective for the borough and for
And the
our
employee.
employees.
Right.
And then if a lot of them opt onto it, maybe we'll save and they'll save.
Well, the
Does-
state,
This probably isn't the right forum.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend a lot of time, just a question I want to put out there.
I mean, the state offers different versions of the plan, so, and they hold an open enrollment. There's a possibility of providing a special open enrollment in April. It's mandatory for the state. Municipalities can ask for it, but they haven't given the parameters on how to ask for an open enrollment. So if I'm on the Rec 10 and my premiums are killing me and I want to switch to 2035 or a high deductible or the tiered plan, I can personally do so. So that those options are available for employees. There are about, I think, 6 different options. And then there's Horizon's version and Aetna's version.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep trying.
Yeah, no, so the answer to the question is yes, and it's already there. It's already, they have that option. 2035 is already an option that they can adopt, but they don't. Because it's can be devastating if there is
something.
Yeah. No, if we could, we essentially need the state of New Jersey to negotiate because the guidelines and the statutes are very limiting to the municipalities. Would that be fair, Administrator?
Yes, there was a pending bill that would have done away with all the options right now and just offer 3 different plans, but that didn't make it through lame duck. The lame duck session that ended, I think, January 12th. If they would have adopted that and only have 3 options, it would be easier to shop around.
Yes. And you have been in communication with the union, our 2 unions about this, and so communication has been going back and forth.
Yes.
With the PBA and the DPW, which is the DPW is under whose auspices? Is it Teamsters?
The Teamsters. Yeah. It's just a matter, and like I said, anytime I get a notification of the State Health Benefits Committee meeting and what comes out of the meeting, I share it with our risk manager in an effort to continue shopping around for the best price plan that provides the best coverage for our employees.
And we even looked into, just because this topic came up, we looked into could we combine with another municipality? Because a big problem for us is we have so few in the program. The programs are offered by the size of your population. Our population is so small that we have little to no options. So we thought about, we tentatively looked at, could we join Bergen County? Could we join up with Paramus? Could we join up with Oradell and New Milford? But there are insurmountable obstacles to doing any of that. But we continue to look because we would like to save both our employees and the taxpayers if we could. All right. Any other member of council?
Yes, question. This is a question for Chris. Hi, Chris. Just a question about the debt, the overall debt. My understanding, and I just want to make sure that my understanding is correct, that our overall debt is approximately 27 million, and that we're paying about 1.8 million per year towards that overall debt. And if that's correct, my question is, historically, has that debt been increasing every year, or are we paying it down? And if it's increasing, what are we projecting over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years in terms of that debt? And if it's decreasing, what are we projecting?
Well, it fluctuates. It fluctuates based on the projects that we adopt and that we move forward with. So had we had this conversation, 5 years ago, the debt looks very different than it looks today. And if you have this conversation again 5 years from now, the same would apply. If you look at our capital program for 2026, the one we're going through today, it's lower than it has been in the past because a lot of those larger projects have now been completed. So to back up, to answer your question, number one, yes, you're correct. We have about $27 million in total debt. If you look at the breakdown of that total debt, that's inclusive of things that we have already permanently financed. That's about $5 million. We have notes outstanding. That's just under $12 million. So that's $17 million there. And then the balance, the $10 million balance, are projects that were authorized to issue debt on that have not been issued yet, right? And that's part of that is that $3.4 million that where we lent to ourselves for the cash flow. And some of those projects have been authorized and not completed yet, and we haven't actually paid vendors to move forward with the projects, or maybe we won't move forward with the projects. And so the debt is on our books, but it has not actually been issued. So that $27 million is our total potential liability. When we look at what we're actually paying, we're paying a bulk of that, right? So if you break down the $1.8 million that you mentioned for our total debt, we've got $995,000 as bond principal. And so we're paying $995,000 out of a total outstanding balance of $5,165,000. Right, so you can see that our bond principal balance is starting to drop a little bit. That's because it's going to be there's one issue that's going to be fully paid off in 2030. So we're getting towards the end of that, and then we'll be looking to permanently finance new debt subject to the interest rates at that time. You're never really going to be in a situation where you fully pay off your debt, right? You've got infrastructure that you have to maintain. It's also a bit of a philosophical question, because do you want to charge your residents today for projects that are going to last 15, 20 years, right? Or do you want to have the residents of the next 15, 20 years pay off those projects? A lot of towns have different perspectives on that. It's up to the governing body, but we do have a debt plan. Just for reference as well, when you look at that $27 million, there is a limitation on the total debt that a municipality is allowed to authorize. It's 3.5% of the equalized value of the real property in the municipality. Just for reference, quick numbers, that number for River Edge is about $2.5 billion, right? We're only at a little over 1%, just barely over 1%, in total debt. Of an allowable 3.5%, right? So we're not even close. We're actually very low relative to some of our peers in total debt authorized and total debt issued. And we aggressively pay off that debt, right? So we are paying it back aggressively. We fund an additional $175,000 on top of our requirement to be able to get to the point in 2030 where our expected payments will be larger than they are today, but we won't feel a budget impact because we're planning for it. So there's a lot that goes into the debt. I have lots of spreadsheets and lots of documents, and we can certainly talk more about it offline. That's a pretty high level overview, but it's something that we do review regularly, not just annually.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, and I definitely do not want to get into the weeds on this. So the last question I have is just a 30,000 foot high question. Is this overall debt figure? I understand that it represents different things, and some of it hasn't even been applied yet. But overall, the $27 million debt has that number been increasing over the last, let's say, 3 years, or has it been decreasing?
That number has been increasing because the size of the projects that we've had over the last 3 years. But if you look at this year, we're looking to authorize, based on the document in front of you, and plus we just reduced it by $170,000. We're authorizing about $1.8 million in debt this year, after you take into consideration the grants and the down payment requirement, which is pretty close to what we're paying, right? So you're not increasing it substantially year over year in years where you don't have one-off large projects, right? Borough Hall was a large project.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Cool. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate that. I'm sure we're going to be coming back to you many, many times today. Finance Chair and Council President, do you want to just give a brief summary of what the Finance Committee has been doing over the last couple of months in preparation for this meeting? And especially if you could highlight that the Finance Committee was able to, I believe, reduce the increase from 5.5 to about 4.5.
Okay, Mayor, if I must,
Yes, you must.
I know there's a lot of words going on. I just want to thank our CFO, Chris, our Borough Administrator, Lizette, Councilwoman Malalari, and Councilman Glass for being part of many discussions regarding the budget. I think that, again, this year we had to do a needs basis budget as opposed to a wants. And we tried very hard to do that. We did not have much, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, we did not have much wiggle room in order to really cut much out of the budget. But we tried to do the best we could. And we did, we went from 5.76, I think it was, to 4.47. We managed to do that in our discussions. And just, again, thanks to their efforts and time in this project.
All right. And I certainly told the department heads and who looked carefully at their budgets. As we can see, or we've already had a representation from Chief Sanders where he needed some changes and he didn't want to add, so he took away from other areas. And it's that sort of frugality that we have been forced into over the last couple of years due to uncontrollable outside increases, most notably health benefits and Bergen County Utility Authority, which is our sewage. I like to at this time point out to the public, we spend, I think now about 1.2 million on sewage at this point.
I believe so.
So, and when I say that, people don't always get it. So, then I try to point out that we're talking about every time you flush your toilet, it has to be processed. It has to be handled. And so of a $22.5 million budget, which we only have to tax for $17.5 million, 1.1, 1.2 is just sewage. So we really are nuts and bolts here, and we have run a very frugal budget for the last 14 or 15 years, and we have a more conservative budget policy than other municipalities, and that gives us the flexibility when we need it to borrow from ourselves, and that keeps the overall tax rate down compared to other municipalities. So I'd just like to thank everyone for their work, not just those present here today, but citizen budget committees over the last 15 years, as well as council members over the last 15 years, as well as all of our department heads and our administrative staff. So thank you to that. Okay, without objection, we'll move back to departments. Is there any objection? Chief Walker, you're up.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. We'll start off with the capital request justifications. So, the first few items are our annual request. The vehicle replacement is for one radio car that we call a line car. And that's in the past we've asked for 2 cars a year. And we're able to do 1 right now. A large part of that, I would thank the DPW Jason and our mechanic do a great job keeping our cars up to speed, building our cars, maintaining them. So we're in a pretty good place as far as not needing more than this 1 request. That request basically, for those who aren't aware of the way we work it, is we have 4 line cars that work around the clock. Nonstop, those cars go. And they have a life expectancy of about, 3 years, 4 years. And then they'll get moved down to what we call the 5 and 6 spot, which are backup cars. The need to replace them is obviously there. Otherwise, they get too old. And what you don't want to do is not have a replacement program. And then all of a sudden, and I've seen this in my long time being here, all of a sudden you need 3 or 4 cars in a year. So that's a replacement for one of the vehicles. And that car, we're going to talk about something called the traffic trust. That car, my understanding, and we've had discussion last year with Chris, is because it's a line car, it's not a traffic car, that it has to be purchased outside of that traffic trust. The traffic trust, for those of you who may not be aware or are new, is a trust, is a fund that was set up by the CFO and towns, do this. It's the money that we make from all the traffic details that these offices are on. And as everyone in town knows, the last few years, I say that with a chuckle because there's a lot of traffic details, a lot of inconvenience to residents, but we also know that it's for the good of infrastructure and the gas lines being replaced. But at any rate, we make money on our officers being out there with these radio cars. All right. So, but that car again needs to be, that's a radio car that drives around the clock. It's not a traffic car. All right. The ballistic vest is something that we, is our vest replacement program. We have to replace vests. They have a 5-year life expectancy. And it also helps with any new officers that we have. That's at $3,500. And that's self-explanatory with that. It's not. The Tough Book is the computer that goes into the new radio car, and that's the same thing. Those have about a 5-year life expectancy, and basically we build a new car, we put a new computer in it, and that computer moves down to that 5 and 6 spot, and by then it's several years old, and then after that 5 and 6 spot, it just goes to sleep. It's exhausted. All right. The traffic cones. That's an increase. As you see, a bit of an increase there. That's again because of all the traffic details that we have. Our cones and stuff are getting beat up. Sergeant Diamond does a great job with our traffic program and keep maintaining this equipment, making sure it's out there, shopping around, getting what we need. That item, that 14,000, that can be taken out of the traffic trust. We did it last year. And, I'm sure when I'm done with this, we can defer to Chris for further explanation on how that works. But basically, that traffic trust that I spoke about, because these cones are specifically used for traffic, we're able to take money from there and it doesn't affect the capital, right? The defibrillators, let's see, the Tough Book also, because the Tough Book looks up information about traffic, though it's in the radio, the line car, it can be used by the traffic officers because they could be calling to that car. Basically, we're showing, hey, that computer that could be used by the traffic officers if they radio that officer. So we're able to push that over to that traffic trust also. So that's 6,000 for the Tough Book, 14,000 for the cones can come out of that traffic trust. Defibrillators. Everybody knows what a defibrillator is. I'm quite sure. Our defibrillators have come to the end of their life. We're not able to renew the service contract at the end of this year. So we need to replace the defibrillators. All right. That is the capital request with this one rather large, but something that I want to point out that this is something that could come under cap. But I have a plan with this. I discussed it with Chris. And that is that our body-worn cameras that the officers wear, that are mandated by the state. I think everybody knows that was a state mandate, 5-6 years ago. They're coming to the end of their life expectancy. Now, that is a huge cost, okay? The state, as the state does, they mandate something with this. They did cover the initial cost, but there's really nothing there to be found. We did apply for a small grant. We're going to see what happens with that. All right. But we're talking around $400,000 replacement. So this could be, this would be a cap request if I was to put it in here this year. I'm stretching it to go to next year, but talking to Chris, because all the officers wear these, including those traffic officers. And the work that my officers have done in looking at these cameras and the different purchasing methods or different contracts that you can get, what we're able to do is purchase the necessary equipment at about $90,000 a year. But that $90,000, again, looks like we can take it out of the traffic trust, which is huge. Because again, it wouldn't be a cap and it's not in the budget. It's coming out of the money that we're making each year because we still have a couple of years at least out with PSE&G, and that fund brings in quite a bit of money. So it's an opportunity to use that and to replace these body worn cameras under state contracts. Obviously, we do all our homework on that, and without us having to make this big cap request. All right, so that's not on there, and that's just something that I'm making you aware of, and I think that again, we could have more discussion about specifically what that's about when the council would like to. But I just want to make you aware that that is a big item, and that's going to be something that we're going to need to address. Those are the cap requests. Are there any questions on the cap request?
So we go to the Citizen Budget Committee members first. Are there questions or comments from Citizen Budget Committee members?
Chief, good morning. I just have a quick question. That traffic trust. I know we're dipping into it and it's great that we can, and I appreciate you having that trust fund. Do you see that, like, are we like gonna blow through that in the next year or two?
I don't see, well, listen, it depends on what we purchase out of it, but Chris would have the numbers on it. The numbers that I see on it, I think it's healthy right now. And I think even if PSE&G is gone, we're certainly going to make enough to say cover these cameras each year. So I'm not worried that if within the next 2 years we're going to substantially add to that trust. But let's say PSE&G is done in 2-3 years, we're certainly going to make at least $90,000. We're going to make more than that on average without any major projects.
Right. No, I just think it's great that we'd be able to take, the traffic cones, the tough book, and maybe the cameras out of that trust fund, and, you're okay with it. So that's a huge impact on the capital. No, appreciate that. Thank you. Nice job.
Thank you.
Al? Al, you got to speak to the mic.
The defibrillators, is there any way to kind of phase those in over a few years, as opposed to buying them all at the same time? And how many are you buying?
We buy them all at once, Al, because you get a contract, and the contract is a maintenance contract that goes with it, and you're with a company and you use a state bid. So it's not really something where you don't want different ones, and then they're literally different. So the officers are using different ones. And then every year you're trying to keep what's new, what's old, what's working. We buy the number that we need, and then we use them to the end of like ours are done as far as the maintenance contract. All right. We pushed them as far as we could. And it's just time to replace them. And generally we've always done it all together in a bulk. And I think we have, I'm going to say six of those.
Okay, so each car carries one, and then you have a couple.
Yeah, not every car in the fleet, certainly, but the line cars, and then we'll have one at headquarters and one in one other car. I believe that's, I could be off by one maybe, but it's basically what we have.
Okay, so the 15,000 is covering the 6 or so defibrillators that you have.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the trust is the money that comes in from PSE&G?
Yes. So what happens is the town charges for the officer and the radio car, okay, an hourly rate, but it's more than we pay the officer. All right. So that's how we make money. That's how we make money now legally. And, Chris could, support me on this. I think is legally that money is to be put in a trust, they're called a traffic trust, but it has to be used for things that support that traffic, because that's why we charge them for it, right? So we can't take that and, renovate a baseball field because we said, hey, we have to charge you extra because we got to maintain our cars and maintain the cones and maintain everything that has to do with the traffic. And as we know, of those little Trax cars that are driving around, we put together a great program, with the help and the support of Jason from the DPW. So we're going to be in a place where we're not going to worry about our traffic cars. They're small, they're more gas efficient, they're new. You'll see we have some of those old ones running around still, right? And people say we got a lot of cars. We discussed this last year. But the reason why we're keeping anything that rolls right now, because every one of those cars that goes out is making money, right? When PSE&G is done, you're going to see the fleet deplete. Those old cars, the wheels are just going to basically fall off, and we're just going to send them on their way. But we keep them because DPW is good enough to be able to make them still roll out, and then we make money on them. Once they're gone, we'll be in a very nice place because of the program that we put in place by purchasing those track cars with the trust fund money.
Okay, the $97,000 that you have in for the vehicle replacement, that's one patrol car?
That's 87,000. That's one Tahoe, but the Tahoe itself is not 87,000. It's all the equipment.
It's everything that goes into
You
it.
have to build it, right? Thanks to the DPW, again, we will save money on that. We have to build that car. We have to get all the equipment, all the lights, all the the cages. It has to have our print put on it, right? All that kind of stuff is put into the car.
Okay, I don't know. This is the overview.
Can't hear you out. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the page that's the 2026 general capital ordinance summary, and it has all the departments on it, and that has 97,000 for a vehicle. And then I looked underneath that, and I saw a 5-year plan, and 2026 is 97,000, but 27 through 30 is 87. Is there?
I'm going to say that's probably a misprint, because the one I have in front of me is 87. So I always put in, right, for the next 5 years what the cost of the car is this year, But if it goes up next year, then I have to increase it next year. I'd love for it to go down, but I think we'd all be dreaming to see that. But,
Okay, so the 87 is going down, is going up to the projections out for the next 4 years is 97,000.
No, again, my sheet that I have in front of me is 87,000 from 26 to 30. Will it go up? Al, probably will. But right now, to replace a line radio car, Tahoe, and equip it with everything is 87,000.
Okay, well, this may be more of a question for Chris then. So, okay.
So Chris, would you clarify for us at this point, the book in front of most of the council says
97.
says 97 for 26, 87 for 27, 28. Which is currently in the budget, 97 or 87?
97 is what we're looking at for 2026. The future years are effectively just a plan. We'll paste them into the budget. You'll see them from sheets 40 to 44 at the very back of your budget as a multi-year plan. But the current year plan, the current year is what you're actually going to be paying for.
And Chris, it is 97 or it is 87?
It's 97.
Yeah, but why is it 87?
Well, we're going to get that. I believe Jason will clarify for that. That's what I'm being told by the administrator.
Yeah, so this year, Mike, we talked for this year, the radio car will have to be sent out because of all the moving parts I have at the DPW with people retiring and everything going on for this year until I can figure out how or get another mechanic and all that. So we'd have to send the radio car out for this year. And then we talked about bringing them back next year when I solidify that position back up, because I have 5 retirements ready to be had, and that's going to turn into a time and needs thing with everything else that's going on until I can hire the appropriate staff.
All right, that's as much as that was briefly spoken about, Jason. I didn't know you were concrete on that. It's probably a discussion that maybe we need to have, and we can bring it back to the council, because there are some questions that I have with that.
That's okay, but I would leave that in. That's why that was in 97 and the rest of them were 87 back down. That was because of this year.
Okay, Al, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I'm okay. That's fine.
Any other member of the Citizens Budget Committee? Question or comment? Member of the council, question or comment? All right, Chief, operating budget.
Sure. So the operating budget, was able to bring it down a few thousand from the year past. However, there's always
Chief, could you give us a page number if you have it?
So we start on page 45, okay? But I don't need to make any changes to my what you have in front of you. I just like to give some explanations, and there are a couple things that aren't in there that need to be addressed. All right,
Chief.
Okay. So in my justification page, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The maintenance contracts go up every year. And they went up more than is indicated, but we're always on top of the contracts. We're always on top of the companies to try and get the best deals that we can. If we can move to another company, we will. I have no loyalty to any companies, but we need to get the best deal that we can and the service that we can. So there's an increase there. You can see some of it has to do because we did move a line from page 52, we took a line from there and I put it in the contracts. And over the years, I've tightened up the budget to reflect where things need to be. When I first took it over, we were kind of a mess with the contracts. And that's why if you look at my first year with the budget, the contracts jumped quite a bit, but the operating budget, but the other areas of the operating budget, the lines went down because it's about, to me, I need all my contracts together so we can see exactly what they cost and they're all on one page. So that's partly why that you'll see that 3,000 or so moved over from one line to another. The other, the decreases are uniforms for the SLEO 2s and the SLEO 1s. Unfortunately, that as much as that was a very good program, and I do really believe we need to get it back on track at some point, but we had to freeze that program. So I took away the money that would have been used for that program. Same thing with the reserves. I have 3 reserves, and that's all I have. And they don't cost as much anymore. They're old timers and they have their uniforms. I can get them whatever they need. So I took a reduction in that. The wellness program is simply because I have a hard number on that, and I can decrease it by 1,000. All right. So that's the, any line items, I'll take questions on and anything there. But the 2 things that I need to point out are the borough-wide cameras that we have. All right. We have somewhere in the area of 50 cameras. All right. That is something that is used by all the departments, well, except for the DPW, they have their own. But we're talking the Borough Hall, the PD, the library, the parks, certain areas of town. The maintenance contract for that is up. All right. And that's a $9,000 ticket. All right. The reason why I didn't put it in my contracts is because this is a borough-wide item, right? I have no problem to put it in the contracts, but I think it deserves that it needs to be pointed out if that's the case. If the council says, hey, you know what, it's all semantics, right? Whether the money comes over here, and you put it in my contract line, I respect. I'll be paying out of my contract line the contract for all the cameras. No issues with that. We oversee them all. We maintain them. We monitor them. Obviously, that's fine. But the other thought was to do like we do with our phone bill. And I ran this by Chris, and it's my understanding that it is feasible that we have a separate line that covers a borough-wide item, such as these cameras. All right. So that's just putting that out there. I felt that it should be, a decision rather than me just putting 9,000 on my contracts. Again, it would make my budget jump 9,000, but by this explanation, you would see like, hey, this is the reason why that line, the contracts went up. All right, so that's the one item. The other item is the crossing guards. We're having a real tough time with crossing guards maintaining, having enough numbers. We've been able to pull it off and use it. We were using our SLEO 2, but we don't have them anymore. And we use officers that are working when we can. But we're getting to a point where we're not getting the numbers that we need coming in. And when we have a couple down, we use our extras, and now all our extras are used. And if our extras are used and we're short shifted, I actually have to bring an officer in. So for example, this year, $1,900 in overtime for an officer to cover crossing. All right. that can get scary if that's maintained. All right. So I believe that if we can bring up the rate of the crossing guards to be more competitive with the area, that we can draw more in. And that being said, our current starting rate for a crossing guard is $19.97, and the top rate is $25.62, and it has 3 steps in between. Okay. What I'd like to do is bring the starting rate, what I call the training phase, from $19.97 to $20 an hour, remove the middle steps. So once they're trained, they go from $20 an hour to the top rate. And I would like to make that rate go from $25.62 to $26. All right. So instead of those steps in between, we go from 20 to 25. With that, I had some discussion with Chris, who, always does a great job and getting back to me and crunching the numbers. This is not a substantial impact on the line that we have for these guys. In fact, it sounds as if we might be able to pull it off just by what we have in place. But I wanted to put that out there because if I have to bring in, when I was a young officer, I remember being brought in to cover crossing guards. And, it's kind of head scratching because you're putting a cop out there to do crossing guards and he's getting paid at least 8 hours overtime. All right. So I don't want to be there because that'll go right past any wage increase that we're looking at them. So that is the other thing that's not in the budget. Otherwise, that's the budget, guys. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to have been able to bring it down a little bit. But bringing it down a little bit, of course, the curveball is, we got to contend with those cameras.
Chief, I wanted to ask you a few questions before I go to the Citizens Budget Committee. When dealing with our crossing guards, are they saying that it is what they're being paid that's an obstacle for them to get to stay, or are you hearing when people are applying that that's the problem? What are you hearing?
Right. So the ones we have are aces, but they're, hey, these are all retired people, and you got to love them because they're out there in all types of weather, right? And they're here, but they'll take a fall or they'll just get sick. And then we deplete our reserve, and our reserve, there's only a couple of them, right? And then we don't have anybody, but we constantly have ads out. And what they do is, listen, some of them are loyal to their town, which is great, but some of them will shop around. So if New Milford's, giving you 28 or 30 an hour, then hey, I'll go over there. I even talked with chiefs about sharing our extras, and that's still something that I'm trying to get out there. Because if there are extras available today from Milford or Oradell, let's use them. I'm working on that. But again, if your rate's not competitive, then as much as it's 25 cents or $1, hey, especially that generation, right? The quarter to them is huge, right? So that's where it is. It's not so much that they're here and they're like, I'm going to go to Oradell now because they make more. They don't really leave us to do that. We just can't get them. And once we do get them, just by the nature of who they are and their age and what they're doing, they're putting themselves out there. We have 3 or 4 down right now, that are nothing major, but if they're out for a little bit and I have 3 or 4 out, that's big. That's a problem. So we need to build our reserve tank up. We need to show the area, hey, River Edge is competitive. And move forward from there.
So, Chief, you're just one second. Just one clarification, Chief. You're saying training at 20 and full time as a single rate of, is it 25 or 26?
26.
26. And I'm going to go to the administrator in a second. Chris, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to after the administrator to just comment on the impact on the budget if we adopt, if the committee and the council wishes to commit to the chief's recommendation so that information is available today, if possible. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to add another layer to this. If somebody applies to be a crossing guard and they do well in the interview, the Municipal Joint Insurance Fund requires that they take a vision and hearing test. And if they fail the test, then they can't be hired.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that with that, just because, thank you, Lizette, for saying that. We have lost a couple because we have to do that testing. And again, like I used to not wear these glasses, right? So they get older, and their hearing and their eyes. And let me tell you, the other thing that's happened with them, they go to that test, and the next thing you know, they're wearing hearing aids or they get glasses, which is awesome because they help them, because they want to come back. You got to love them.
All right. Chris, are you prepared to talk on this at this point, or can you give us a ballpark of the impact?
Yeah, I can absolutely talk about it. And actually, as I'm looking at it, I realize that there's two numbers that are switched on so on page 45, your dispatcher number says 276,000. You can see that that's not in line with what it was in the past. That number is switched with the crossing guards below it. I just fixed it on my end, but your document still has them switched. So the 276 is actually crossing guards, and the 149,814 below it is actually for the dispatchers. So when we look at the 276 total,
hold on, Chris, I'm sorry. So 006 is supposed to be crossing guards, and 007 is supposed to be.
No, they're the correct lines. If you look at the history is all correct as dispatches. It's just that I put the 276 on the wrong line. It should have been on 276 should be on 007, and 149,000 should be on 006.
Thank you.
So using that $276,000 number, if you just divide that by $26, let's operate under the assumption that we're going to have all of our crossing guards getting paid 26, and the training is not maybe long enough where it will be a material difference. That would be about 10,600 hours. We paid about 9,800 hours last year. I'm not 100% sure how many shifts had to be covered with patrolmen, but using those figures, we should be able to accommodate that in this budget, because I budget based on the highest number anyway. It's so the highest dollar amount isn't changing materially from 25 and change to 26.
So would you say that it's budget neutral?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to make any change to the draft that we have.
Okay. So before we go into discussion, Madam Administrator, this, I assume, would have to be something we'd have to decide during a council meeting?
Yes, the salary ordinance needs to be changed, and by eliminating the steps, and then all the crossing guards that are in step that would move, there would be a resolution updating their salary.
So it would be an ordinance change and then a resolution change?
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to go to questions in a minute, but what the council needs to consider is at the end, I'm going to ask the council if they're interested in having that ordinance and resolution drafted for consideration at the next council meeting. And the council can choose to say after our question and answer period, yes or no, we'd like to think about this a little bit longer. But it seems, since it's budget neutral, that to me, it seems to be a no-brainer. We should go with the chief's recommendation. But let's return to our process. Are there any members of the Citizen Budget Committee who have a question or a comment? Chief Caridi.
Yeah, Chief Walker, is that $20 and $26 increase, is that enough to attract people?
So I think for the time being it is, right? And they will get that, generally that 3% increase, but it's something that we monitor, because inevitably what happens, right? I joke with the chiefs around and we try to keep it quiet, but they'll be like, "Hey, what'd you do? Jump to 26? Now I got to jump to 27." It's just what happens. So I think that's going to be a good number. I think what'll happen too, our guards will talk about it, and they have their little group or connections, and they'll be like, "Hey, when you come to River Edge, they're going to start you at 20, but as soon as you get trained, you're going to jump to 26. You get past those steps." So I think just by eliminating the steps and bringing it up 40 cents is enough for us to get attention. And once we get them again, they don't leave. It's getting them and then keeping them healthy.
Right. Okay. And, I think this is something that the council should strongly consider, having I listen to the police department during the day, and when you hear a patrol officer calling out on covering a crossing, you got to remember, and Chief, I don't want to speak for you, but that's one less officer that's available for an emergency in town, especially right at the height of drop off and pickup. So it's important, these crossing guards.
It's something to keep. Thank you for pointing it out, Craig. But specifically about that, what you need to understand is when the officer's on that crossing, he cannot leave that crossing. He can't leave that crossing for, somebody having a heart attack. All right. Because you cannot risk a child getting hit by a car. All right. So he's locked up there for that, that time period. So it's a very serious, as simple as it is, it's a very serious post.
Clarification from our administrator?
Yes, we wouldn't have to change the ordinance. I just pulled it up and it maxes out at $27. So it would just be a resolution with the employees and their corresponding rate.
All right. So just so we don't not waste, but just so we don't have redundant comments, is the council, Strawbro, is the council interested in considering this at the next council meeting?
Yes.
Is there any member of council not interested in considering this or wishes for more time to have to evaluate this? Hearing none, I'm going to declare that this is the will of the council. And Madam Administrator, will you prepare a resolution so that if any member of the Citizen Budget Committee or the council during in the next 5 minutes need not comment on whether we should do it or not, because we are going to do it. Any other question other than this from a member of the Citizen Budget Committee or comment? Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question, because I'll be putting the resolution together for the salary resolution. Is it going to be effective, April 1st, or are we looking to?
Well, let me ask you this: is it budget neutral if it's effective April 1st?
It'll be budget neutral either way. It's
How
just
about, and I
the-
think for payrolls purposes, April 1st is something you can wouldn't be too burdensome for you to arrange.
No, that would be easy for us.
And Chief, April 1st, is that something that you find acceptable?
Absolutely.
Then it would be April 1st, unless there is objection from the council. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so approved. Any other member from the Citizen Budget Committee who would like to offer a comment other than the discussion we've just had? Mr. Joe. I was going to say go to you, but
Thank you, Mayor.
Other people's last names.
Chief, I was just wondering, about line item 4, citizens part-time. I see that it was reduced by over 90%, that line item. Could I just get some clarification on that?
I'm not sure.
That's the SLEO program that we're not.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That's where you had it under? You had it under civilian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a SLEO too, a special law enforcement officer too. And unfortunately, the council decided to eliminate that program right now. So that's the decrease right there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members of the Citizen Budget Committee? Seeing none, any member of council, question or comment?
Yes, Mayor, I have to. Hi, Chief.
Hi.
Thank you. On line 191, which says e-tickets, for my knowledge, e-ticket is a cop ticket and a citation, right?
Yes.
What page? This is page 50. Line item 191. So cop ticket or a citation, as per my knowledge, is something that the recipient pays us, pays you, pays the police
Yes.
department. So why is there increase from past 2021 to now, a substantial increase now?
Great. I'm glad you point that out, because that is a good thing. If that's the money that we pay to process the tickets. So we don't know, we do it quarterly. So the higher that number is, it means the more my officers are writing tickets. And I gotta love that. So we are more than making that money back in the tickets, but you have to pay to process the tickets. So that comes out of my line. And then the money for the tickets goes through the courts, right? So the higher that number is, it just means we're writing more tickets.
Do you have another question, Councilwoman?
Yeah, and the same page on the wellness program, the line 200, this is yearly?
Yes, that's the wellness program that we started, 2 years ago. And that is, for those who aren't aware, but that's every officer and my full-time dispatcher, my 2 civilians, go to see a therapist. We do that once a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Chief.
Anybody else?
I do.
Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, Chief Walker.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good, good. Two questions on the maintenance contracts. Obviously, page 47, line item 105. Please be
Yes.
gentle, guys, it's early. So you expressed that the increase includes the Old Town cameras excluding the DPW.
No.
For my edification and the citizens' edification, when you mean contracts, without going into the weeds of it, how many contracts are we talking about and what are they? High level.
So we have about 20 some contracts. So, it's almost everything we have as a contract, right? So our software system is a contract, our computers are contract, our fingerprint machines are contracts. The cameras on the cars are contract, the body worn cameras are contract, the defibrillators are contract. I can go on and on. There's like 28 different contracts and the contracts obviously take care of them, and we do utilize it. Sometimes, the majority of it we don't, to be honest with you. It's an insurance, right?
Right.
It's an insurance, but it also much of it is updates. So we need the software updates to make things run every year. And listen, they make a lot of money. I always tell people, if your kids can get a government contract, they should go in that field, because I look at them and you're just all the chiefs talk about it, and I think we do a good job here, because like I said, I don't have a loyalty to any of them. As far as whoever gives us the best rate, and as long as they cover what we need, we'll shift away, and we've done that, and that's the best that we can do with it. So you're seeing the increase there, though, is not the 9,000. Remember, that's something that we need to address. We would add 9,000 more to that if I do take the cameras on that line. Otherwise, the other suggestion is, like I said, to create a new line, a borough-wide line, so to speak, that Chris said is feasible. All right. The maintenance contracts that you see the increase on here has to do with, I moved the line from, if you look at page 52, I moved the reverse 911 and the 911 calls. There was $3,000 there that I just moved over, and we also were able to get move a decrease there. And the reason why I moved it is because it's a contract. So I like it, again. So when I look at my contracts, everything's there, everything's in one line, and that's why, if you look at it historically, if you look all the way back to when I started, you're going to see the maintenance contracts went up, a lot, and that's because they were all over the place throughout the budget. So now they're all tidied up in one spot. And certainly there were increases. I have to tell you, when I started, because I was able to look back at it as chief, and I think we had like 4 contracts. That was a long time ago, but it's the way of business now. There's just contracts for everything.
Right. Thank you for that. One other question on page 46, line item 013. I see that the overtime increased just a little bit, but could you speak to that, please?
Which line is that?
Ends on 013, page 46.
Right.
Overtime.
Right. So that my understanding in discussing that with Chris is that's Chris makes it safe, so to speak. Because if you look back at what we actually did, we're in the ballpark over the last 3 years. I mean, last year we went down, this year we went up a little. And that is an increase is just sometimes it's just what happens with the officers. If I get an officer that's out for an extended period of time, or something like that, then it's going to be overtime. I have a major incident, it's just going to be an overtime spike. But I don't expect to get to 350 by any means. In fact, I always look to push the overtime down. I got crushed in February with sick time, and that happened. So I'm concerned about the start off of the year, but it's something I keep an eye on every week. I update my report on overtime to see where it's being spent. We do have an officer that right now for that increase that you see for 25, I have an officer that's in the military and he got called to the military. All right. And he's not on the road. So I have to replace him every now and then. Not all the time, but every now and then. So that's an increase in that's going to be an increase in overtime. You know we support our troops, and we all know that. And hiring the couple of officers that might be involved in that, and God bless him because he just got deployed overseas, and we won't see him until next May.
Wow. Thank you for that, Chief. Thank you.
Sure.
No further questions on mine.
Any other member of council? All right, Chief, thank you.
Yeah, I have one.
I'm sorry, say again.
Separate with the 9,000 camera.
Thank you, Lizette.
Have Chris create a line in another account or put it on the.
Chris, as our CFO, do you recommend that we create a new line or put it in an existing line?
I mean, it's probably easier to keep it in an existing line. It would just be a new line item on the document, similar to what we did with like public information, which is kind of centralized. Everything's in one spot. I wouldn't even be opposed to putting in public information in that line item. So whether it's police or public information, it's more of a question of where you want to see it from a reporting perspective. If you feel like the police is responsible for it, let's leave it in the police budget. If you feel like it's more of a general town expense, we can put it in public information, or we can even create its own account for cameras.
Lizette, before I go back to Chief, do you have a preference where it should go?
Well, if it goes into the public information line, then this is just internal, but the chief would need to have access to that account to pay those bills.
So would it be better if it stayed somewhere inside the chief's already existing budget instead of creating a new access? Which is easier? Which is what is more sufficient?
Access Chris could do in literally a minute.
Oh,
Yeah.
then Chief, are you okay with it going into public information line?
Sure. It's again, I yield to Chris as the guy that's got to work with the numbers and where the lines they come from. Not my whole point of it was just to point out that hey, it isn't an expense, and if it is in my line, I just didn't want to get beat up. That my line went up $9,000. Again, we're paying for it one way or another, but I'm fine either way.
Chris, so I'm going to ask if the council objects. If not, then we're going to make it so moved. Do you have any comment before I ask the council?
Nope, I would set up a new sub account under public information if that's the desire of the council.
Does the council have objection? Is there objection?
No.
Hearing none, it is so moved.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chief. Anything else, Chief, before we let you go?
Mayor, can I ask one more question, please?
Sure.
Chief, this is on page 46 and 47. I did ask this last year too. I'm going to still ask because I'm too much of off paper person. This is for line item 29, 23, 36, and 127. This is all under office supplies and stationery. When you total, it's almost $8,000, $9,000. Is that all similar, but it has been broken down? Is that something that we should go over and over the years? I know we need a lot of paper, but can there be a cut in the amount of paper and the supplies we use?
They're broken up specifically, right? And I think that was done years ago, just to be specific. But I think we do a good job with our office supplies in keeping it down to what we have. It's not just paper. It's a lot of the print stuff that comes from the computers. It's the stuff that the officers use in the radio corps. Sometimes it's bags. It's different things that we use overall. And when I look at the budget overall, guys, if once you take away the contracts, it doesn't really take that much. You can take away the contracts and the salaries, right? It doesn't really take that much to run the police department. Everything that's there is probably around I think it's around 90,000 to all those computers, all that stuff that we purchase, all those things. Once you get away from, the contracts and the salaries, that's not that much when you look at all the things we do. So I don't think, when I look in a supply closet, for example, and I look at, you're talking about all our first aid equipment, right? All that stuff that gets put in the cars. It's not like the closets are bursting. We keep what we need and we stay on top of it. And it's not like we take the money and squander on anything else. So no, I think that those numbers are accurate, and they are. Like I say, we try to stay on top of it. If again, I've lowered the budget. I lowered the budget, but something else makes it go up. The cameras make it go up, right? But I say, hey, let me make it tighter. Anywhere I can make it tighter, make it tighter.
Councilwoman, do you have a follow-up question?
No, thank you.
Any other member of council have a question? Let's go back to Citizen Budget Committee member, Greg.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. So just for clarification on the capital, so are we taking the Tough Book and the traffic signs and cones out of the traffic trust?
I believe that answer is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
All right. Okay, Chief, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I'm going to recommend to the body that we consider a 10-minute break and then we return for the, I believe the Recreation Department is correct. Is there an objection for a 10-minute break?
No.
All right, so motion and second for a 10-minute break.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye. See you all back here at 10 o'clock. Would you pause? We're just waiting for one other person on council, and we're asking everyone else to turn their cameras back on. Who's remote?
Just fever. He's
In the meantime, Mayor, can I ask a question of the chief for a second?
No,
Oh,
sorry, because we're not. Yeah, we could because
It's just
even though one council member, we're back in session. Go ahead.
Chief, thanks for your presentation. Just a quick question on the fleet. So when you get a new vehicle, what happens to any of the other the one it's being replaced? You muted, Chief.
Sure. So that means that one has been on the line being used 24/7 for 4 years. And what we do is we bump it down to 5 or 6. And those are the backup cars. All right. When we have a car down, or if we have a detail where we got to bring in an officer, we need more officers for, whether there's, an event or something going on in town, that's the car they use. And by the time that gets bumped out, then they're shot really. We were making them traffic cars. Jason and I have talked about it, that there is a possibility. We're going to take a look at them now because we do have the traffic cars, that once they get past that 5, 6 spot, if there's something valuable left to them, then we can consider selling them or, doing something with them. But I've yet to see that happen just because, they get, they're used 24/7. They're pushed around town for 24/7 and they're, jumping curbs. That takes a toll on them.
Gotcha. So they can't be repurposed for any other utility.
Well, they're repurposed for that 5 and 6 car. And if
Right.
we need to, like also, so we have the cars in front of the schools, right? Those are, you see those cars? Those are old, right? So yeah, they would get bumped down. They could get bumped down to there next. Those are probably the last leg of a car. The SLEO 3 cars, those are the school officers because they literally just need to roll to the school. There's nothing in them. They look like a police car, and that's all we want them to do. We want them to make it to the school and back. So we keep them there until Jason's like, Chief, they're not rolling anymore. We got to put it to sleep.
Got it.
Yeah, so they become deterrents because of their visibility.
Absolutely.
Yes, Steve?
It's going to roll into the next presentation. So that's
All right.
asking about the vehicles.
Here we go. Next up is Rec Department. Joe, take it away.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, Finance Committee. We'll start with the capital. So just recently the
last one.
the 2 and 5 year old playground equipment was deemed that needed to be replaced. That's at $75,000, but that would be being taken out of open space grants, so that's nothing on the capital or debt.
Sorry, Joe, but
Yes.
we didn't see any of that in the sheet we had.
So if you look at the
On
cover
the
sheet,
capital?
look at the cover sheet. The cover sheet, if you look down, first says police vehicles, then fire equipment, then administration, DPW, then it says parks and fields.
But we were looking at the single sheet.
You were looking at the single sheet.
So that's how we
Go
started.
ahead, Lizette.
When Joe prepared the 5-year plan, the playground equipment, because he prepared it in the fall, there was no need to replace it. And then once the new year rolled over, just like, we have to replace this playground equipment. It's in bad shape and it's a liability to the kids who use it. So we have it here just as an FYI. We're taking the whole 75,000 out of our open space trust fund. So that's why you see do not include an ordinance.
Mhm.
It's just so that way if it won't be on next week, it'll be on the following meeting, a resolution to buy playground equipment. It doesn't come out of left field.
Okay, so I know we're gonna have that debate at the meeting, but for the sake of this meeting right now, just for clarification, didn't we just updated the playground in Memorial Park like last year, the entire thing?
That was the 5 to 12-year-old playground. This is the 2 to 5-year-old playground. This is on the opposite side.
Oh, the
There's
one
different
across.
ones, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
One.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you. I think that's a needed clarification. Appreciate that.
Yep. Other than that, the only request would be a recreation vehicle, for $30,000. Same request as last year. That's to minimize having to borrow DBW's truck, having DBW have to come in, for smaller events such as, the equipment swap, egg hunt, things like that, where it would take away from using my personal vehicle, which I've been using the last 3 years. Other than that, the annual tree planting program, Jace, you can speak on that a little bit more. But that's all that the capital request for the recreation department would be.
Yeah, we're gonna hold the annual tree planting until Jason speaks,
Yeah.
so we're gonna do that as a single garment. Any questions from the Citizen Budget Committee regarding the Memorial Park playground replacement or the recreation vehicle Chevy Trax? Comments or questions? Joe?
All right, we can jump to.
No, I'm sorry, I meant Joe Gaudier.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Didn't realize
Thank you,
it.
Mayor. I was just wondering, as far as the vehicle goes, could we use an old vehicle from another department that would be decommissioned?
So, Jason, we're going to throw that at you. Jason, can you hear us?
Yeah, Mayor, I will, so the chief, if he gets the other Tahoe this year, which he's going to do, I will talk to the chief about maybe one of the old Sleo cars, if he can move it. It'll determine, he'll have to determine what he's gonna need for PSE&G, details outside duty. But, I guess I'll sort of leave it up to the chief if he thinks that would work. I know our next car that is going out is the Taurus that is at one of the schools. It has a little bit of life left in it. I don't know how long it'll go, but we could probably make it go to next year. But I'll solely leave that up to the chief since it's his fleet, to figure it out.
For the sake of efficiency, why don't we do this, Joe Gaudier? We'll leave it in the budget for now. We could. And then the chief and Chief Walker and Superintendent Melito can have a conversation with our borough administrator and the director of our rec department, and it can come to the council before we introduce the budget.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Only because it's a prolonged conversation. I don't want to put anyone on the spot right now for deciding that. Is the council okay with that?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions from the citizen? Joe, good question. Thank you. Any other questions from the Citizen Budget Committee? Any questions or comments from the council? Administrator.
If it is not feasible for for any police car to be transferred to recreation for the needs of the department, I'm willing to reduce the document scanning since we had paused it during the construction to cover the cost of the vehicle and not incur greater debt to the borough.
All right. So how about this? Why don't all the players have a conversation, and then a recommendation can be made to the council at one of the next couple of meetings before we introduce the budget in this regard. The only reason that we wouldn't discuss it now at great length is because the condition of the vehicle and the other vehicles, it's not a question that I believe can be answered at this time, and we would waste valuable.
Wait, I missed that. Are you saying you don't need the document scanning?
We do need the document scanning, but it's not an immediate need since we paused it for a couple of years, so I could extend the end of the program another year.
So we could take it out anyway.
No, you cannot now with the offers we get.
All
We'll
right.
just make do.
We'll just make it. Okay, so
Mayor,
Joe, yes,
I have one question.
sure, go ahead.
Regarding, hi, Joe.
Hi.
Regarding the Memorial Park playground replacement, the number that is in front, I'm sure there is, you've broken it down, like, or taken, does this process actually go through RFQ, or it is done by
It's purchased
DPW?
through
It's
state
purchased.
contract or one of our co-ops.
And there is no grant that we can, from the county or the state, that we can have through for that? Because
Based on the need to replace it, the grant process would take too long,
how
and it-
long?
at least a year or two.
So can this wait for a year? Because I
No.
see from the different in the different counties or the different towns that there has been a grant given for playgrounds from the county.
Yes, that's through the open space grant, but again, that takes a year and a half to even get the award and go through the process. And, this is an eligible use of the open space trust fund as established by state law. There's that immediate need, and our main focus now is, once there's a special projects engineer to evaluate Memorial Park overall for the pathways and the flooding and whatnot, and apply for grants to help cover those costs. But the playground cannot wait.
Playground doesn't come under the grant.
It comes under the grant, but because of the timing and the condition of the playground, it cannot wait to go through the grant process.
Lisa, if you could speak to the immediacy need, what is driving the immediacy need that it will
Yeah.
trump that?
Like, why
that
not we
grant?
wait for 1 year if that?
There's a reason,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah,
need driven.
that-
You can explain
I
that.
defer to the recreation director as he inspects the equipment.
Sure. And there is on each playground there's a hard soft rubber coating that is now deteriorating, showing rusted metal. No one wants 2 to 5 year olds cutting themselves on rusted metal. This playground equipment is over 10 years old, well over 10 years old. We are salvaging as many pieces of equipment as we can. But it basically it's a hazard. Just walking on the steps itself for the kids to get on this equipment needs to be replaced.
And just to be clear, Chris, this money is coming out of the open space money that we currently have. It's not coming out of capital, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Councilwoman, anything else?
Thank you.
Any other member of council? Okay,
Raised his hand.
oh, I missed it. Someone has their hand. Oh, Jason, go ahead.
You're muted.
Just to add to Joe's comments, the problem with playground equipment, once it gets to a certain age, it gets discontinued. So the other problem is to repair the equipment, the parts are no longer available because they're specialized pieces that are, you'll see them all different colors, shapes, and everything. They'll be discontinued. So it's almost impossible to try to get like a pipe or sled or anything for that piece.
Okay. Follow-up
Thank you.
questions? All right, Joe, thank you very much. Since there's no change, we don't need to take a vote right now on the draft budget. We appreciate it. Jason, take it away.
No,
I just gotta go over operating budget real quick, Mayor.
Show your operating budget, sorry.
It should be quick though. There is not many changes. I have one account.
You please tell us the page and number.
Yes, I will. Let me find it real quick. Looks like it is,
Page 106.
yeah, AEDs ending in 176.
What page?
176.
Whoa,
176.
no. 103, sorry. 103 account ending in 176.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The AED contract is up. I actually, as listed on the information in front of you, that it was for 6,500. That was based on a quote back in 2025. The company that we use for our AED contracts just reached out, and I will have to up that to 6,700. So it's going to increase $200, and that's for a 2-year AED maintenance contract.
Library.
That's we have 8 total AEDs throughout the town between parks and in Borough Hall as well as the library. This contract includes a yearly inspection that the company comes out, and then any replacement of pads, batteries, any of the medical supplies and the little first aid kits. And then if necessary, we are able to replace up to 1 AED, which average cost is about $1,700 to $1,800. But that is all included in that 6,700 now it would be.
Okay, keep going.
That is the only increase in the operating. If you guys want me to go through each operating,
No,
other
we
than
just
what
want
we
you to
will be.
highlight, the council and the committee can ask questions as they see fit.
Yep.
Whatever you feel you need to highlight, you're welcome to do so, but
I believe that would be it. We and then the accounts that Jason and DBW and I share, we can go over that together, I guess, once unless you want to go over that now, Jay.
no, if you want to go over that together, that's great. Let's wait until we recognize Jason, and then Jason, you can prioritize the ones that deal with rec, and then we can let Joe go. But right now, let's just stick with those that are purely rec.
Yep, and that would be it. Other than that, everything remains the same or gets reduced.
All right, so if we'll do questions and comments, and then if the body is willing to do so, we will then alter the 6,500 to 6,700 if the body is interested. So first, the Citizen Budget Committee, Al.
This is just a general question, and it's been, I'm only thinking of it because Joe listed this on his in his notes here. Has there been any thought of we have a lot of AEDs in various departments. Has there been a consolidating that contract into one and seeing if you can get a better deal on somebody covering all of them? And it's just an idea for the borough, for the mayor and council, and for the administrator to kind of think about. It's more of a comment than a question.
All right, then continue.
Okay, go.
Nothing else, Al?
That's it. That was my.
Any other member of the committee? Any member of council? Comment or question?
Just one question, Joe, just for my edification. How many, is it a total of 8 AEDs that the rec handles?
Correct.
Including the 2 new ones that will be purchased?
Which 2 new ones?
2 additional AEDs.
Oh, those were added this year. So that would be under this contract. The 2 new ones for Borough Hall and the library.
Oh, 3. Okay.
We just got 3 new AEDs.
Okay.
That would total of 8.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
I have one question. Hi, Joe. This is page 103, line 177. it says certified playground mulch for Memorial and Brookside. So if that is in the capital for renovation on the other side of Memorial Park, then this will substantially probably reduce, right?
No, that does not include the mulch in the playground. The mulch needs to be, there's certifications for how deep mulch has to be on new playground equipment. That 12615 includes the 3 playgrounds in Memorial Park and Brookside. With the new equipment in Memorial Park, it's gonna have to be dug up. They're gonna try to replace or reuse as much mulch, but it still needs that fresh layer to get that 6 inches of at the mark of new playground equipment to be to be approved as safety from our JIF.
So
and
as
playground inspection.
what I'm understanding is that if the playground equipment is approved, and when it is done,
You will still need additional
when
mulch.
they put it, they do not include the mulch or anything. It
It
only
is cheaper to go through the mulch from the maintenance contract compared to getting the company to install the playground as to provide more mulch.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from any member of council or Citizen Budget Committee?
I have a question. Joe, under 177, right there on page 103, the KBG sprinkler service, $800. How do we reconcile that with the improvement in KBG right now?
So we're basing that off of the 2025 number. There is additional sprinkler systems added. But I believe I believe that it will be roughly around that same price to winterize them and to turn them on.
Okay, after all improvements are done, that's for winterization then?
Correct, roughly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Joe, stay with us. We're going to switch to Jason. No, I'm sorry. Do we, is the council willing to change the draft operation budget for rec item 370-176 from 6,500 to 6,700?
Yeah.
Can I have a motion a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Hearing none, we will move on. Jason, take us away.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Committee, Budget Committee. I would like to start, since we're here with Joe now and we were just off of operating with him. I guess we can go into operating on mine first, and then I'll go into the capital.
And you can actually go back and forth. You want to go onto operating that involves Joe and then go back to it, Jason, because you have a rather large budget given you touch every department in the borough. So go ahead.
So I have a sheet here that pretty much just summarizes the increases and decreases of my operating budget. All the rest has stayed the same. So I will just read out the page numbers and the account lines and then go from there. All right. Okay, page 68, overtime line.
58 or 68?
68.
And Jason, when you read out the page, give us a moment to find it.
No problem.
Okay, give us the reference number.
Overtime line, reference number 290-013. That's the last 6.
The 013 is the fine.
All right. So it's due to how this year started with all the snowstorms and all the blizzards and everything and truck and snow, and due to the unionized contract being on double time, we sort of got a little bit, I guess our overtime line sort of got a little behind here. So I'm asking to increase that line 27,000 to make it through the rest of the year. This will cover any hurricane storms, fallbacks that we might have throughout the year. That'll also help out with the contractual obligations that we have in increases to the unionized members. Second line that I'm looking to increase is on page 70.
207?
He's moving, that's the request. It would go from 180 to 207.
Yeah. No, 182, no, 158 to 180, Mayor.
What's already at 180?
It's already included.
Yeah, sorry, it's $27,000 increase. Your numbers, I'm just giving you the increases.
So Jason, if it's already changed in the draft budget, you do not need to address it unless the member of the Citizen Budget Committee or the council want to question it. So stick only to things that will need some sort of motion for change at this point.
All right, nothing then, Mayor. Everything is going to stay as the draft budget.
I love that. That's great. Okay, now, of course, any member of the committee or the council can, anywhere in your budget, ask for questions, and they may do so in a minute. So, and all of these, so these are, never mind. Let's move. Does any member of the committee wish to ask a question about the operating budget of the Department of Public Works? Seeing none. Any member of council wish to ask a question or make a comment about the operation of the Public Works?
Just to follow, I mean, I just want to acknowledge Jason. I think we totally get why overtime has to increase this year for snow removal and such. So we get that. Thank you for explaining that.
No problem.
Any so Jason,
I do have a question. Maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jason, thank you for always being preparing the budget. Quick question: if we can tie back the planting, I don't want to miss that because it impacts Joe. The 30,000. I see that the tree planting on page 74, item 167 is 0. Is it because it's under the reg line now for the 30,000?
No. So that's on capital now. So we are allowed to put that towards capital. So I'll talk a little bit about that with the tree planting when we get to the capital line, because that follows our 5-year forestry management plan that you guys approved. That is into the state right now. So that all ties into that. So I'll go over that when I get to capital. With relations to Joe's budget, there is no change to the recreational operating budget. There was only the decrease that you guys all seen for the $5,000 for the ball field clay. So his line actually dropped a significant amount, and that would be line number 37,182.
So page 37, 182?
Page 105.
Okay, 105.
And that is 37,182, which has already been
Only with
changed.
the last three, it just helped. 105 and the last three?
182, and that's already been changed. So that's the only difference in Joe's operating lines.
Okay. Any member of Citizen Budget Committee wish to ask a question and make a comment? Any member of the council wish to make a question, ask a question? Oh,
I have a question, Mayor, for Jason. On page 72, the tree removal, you're requesting $9,000 this year. Can you explain that?
That's the emergency tree removal. So that's when we need a crane. So if we own an easement in the backyard of a house and a tree has to come out, we obviously don't have a crane. So if we have a hurricane or anything like that, this allows us to be able to bring in like a company like Downs or something to be able to assist us to crane it over the house and take it down. So that's really what that's for.
Thank you.
Bruce?
Yep, thank you. This past winter obviously was a crazy winter with extreme weather that we had to deal with. I recall that there was some offer of assistance from the county and other local officials. Is there anything that you would recommend, Jason, that we can ask in the future in terms of assistance from the county or state legislators or even on the federal level, any kind of assistance that we can ask for if they're offering that could reduce some of the overtime costs and other costs related to the weather, extreme weather situations?
So OEM would have been a great person to ask, Bill Sanders. Right now, we're going over this last blizzard. There is an assistance. I guess the county is asking for all of the what we paid out for this storm in overtime, equipment loss, salt, and supposedly it will be generated since the storm met certain criteria, and it will go to the state through the county for reimbursement to the county and then eventually to the towns. So right now it's sort of up in the air without having really a FEMA system in the federal government. So I know right now the state is, I guess, asking for that information. I know Chief Sanders has started filling that out. And I've given him some information already, and some other information he requested will be going out to him Monday. So that really assists that program. And it's a reimbursement. Anything that you get from FEMA, you still have to fund for it. Like, think about it, to pay it out direct, because all you're going to be able to do through the state and federal government is get reimbursements. So you
if we
lay out the cash.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful. I'm just curious if we get, let's say there's another, whether it's a hurricane or a snowstorm or something like that, and we get a call from our local officials saying, what can we do to help? Would you have any suggestions on what we can ask for specifically?
Yeah, it's always salt, overtime, and everything else. Again, I'll go back to how all the systems usually work is you got to lay out the funds, and after the storm, you're always going to get a questionnaire. And that's always going to run through your local OEM. And that questionnaire is going to help you assist if there's anything that's available for reimbursement. So I think if you're going to ask anything through our county or state politicians, is pretty much the speed of it. If there's a criteria that's going to be a steady criteria, not just if they pick and choose whether or not a storm is going to be a storm or not, maybe have more of a criteria that's always in place. It seems like there's nothing like that anymore. When it comes to being set up for any of these storms and pre-assessing all the buildings and our capabilities. I know the county comes around every 3 years or 4 years. Lizette can help me with this, and they sit down with us through their OEM and ask for any kind of what we would need for assistance to set ourselves up before that situation happens. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are things in place, but I think it's more continuity through the state level since the federal FEMA is like pretty much no longer there.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not going to.
Yeah. Anyone else for a question or comment? Oh, Councilwoman.
I just have
Pretty,
one.
go ahead.
Hi, Jason. For my knowledge, the overtime does not include for the employees. It does not include the meal and everything. That's separate.
No, so the local 125 contract has all that written out. They're allowed a meal allowance at a certain rate. So that has to be funded for. We are over that, but in that capital line or in the control lines, I'm able to adjust that with other accounts. So we don't ever have to really up it, because some years we don't use it all and some years we go way over. So, but that is a contractual obligation, that line.
So
it's not in overtime. Overtime is totally different than that line.
You mean line 167 on page 69? Is that the one you mean? It says meal cost. This is
meal costs are unionized obligations. It's $9 an hour, $9 every 4 hours per union member as they're here on overtime for storm events only. For emergency events only. So like a standard overtime Saturday, if I bring them in to do some parks and stuff to get done, that doesn't comply to that. That they don't get the meal allowances. It's only for emergencies.
Yeah, overtime can only cover salaries, direct payment. this is a reimbursement, and I signed a lot of purchase orders that Jason signs to reimburse the employees. They have to provide their receipts or the documentation. So that has to be an operating expense, not a salary and wage expense.
So the line 167 is totally different from,
Correct.
yeah.
It's
that's-
just to reimburse as per the collective bargaining agreement, the meal costs at, as Jason mentioned, $9 for every 4 hours of the storm.
Mhm. And just for my knowledge, for Councilman, follow-up as a Councilman Pfeffer's question, on overtime on page 68, line 13, from 2021, when Hurricane Ida hit, that was substantial and historic too. So that was approximately like $84,000 or around $95,000. And we have substantially increased from then to now to $180,000.
I'm going to tell you why. There's
So
two. There's,
I'm not debating the snowstorm of I shoveled enough, but I'm not debating the snowstorm, but a snowstorm versus a Hurricane Sandy, which came in 2012.
So give him a chance. He's going to
And-
explain.
So I'm going to explain. There was two snowstorms this year. All right. That's going to drastically go up. There was one in January and one just past February. So we had a 12-inch snowstorm, if you remember, and then we went right into, I think it was like 20-inch snowstorm. With that also, just so you know, in 2022, our collective bargaining agreement got redone with the union, which we were one of the worst contracts in probably the world with the step process. So the mayor and council at that time decided to fix the contract to be more competitive with our surrounding towns. So we fixed that contract. With doing that, the step scales have changed. So the increases have become a little more, which obviously offsets and raises the overtime a lot more. When you also in that contract, double time was put in for Sundays, which we were mostly on these past couple of storms. Instead of time and a half. So there's a lot of contributing factors why this has been going up year over year since 2021. I've been keeping it flat for the last, I believe, 3 years or 2 years. I think it was flat at 158. And now with these two snowstorms, I just couldn't hold it flat anymore. So, and I think Chris can add more to that if you need.
Councilwoman,
Thank you, Jason.
That's a good question.
It's a great question. Do you want more information from the CFO?
I feel like a blizzard versus a hurricane. I mean, I understand our roads were very, very good compared to you actually got to know when you crossed River Edge.
And I believe it or not, a hurricane is a lot easier than a blizzard. A lot easier because afterwards, the cleanup of a blizzard, you have snow removal. The cleanup of a hurricane is water declining and just a sweeper going out like we've had down by Ackerson and all that other stuff like in 2021 with Isis or whatever that storm was. That flooded Company 2 and our yard. It's a lot easier.
Jason, you're freezing.
It's a lot easier.
Let me pick it up a little bit. One of the things that is different after a hurricane and a storm while he's buffering is that Jason, of course, after any storm or something, he and I get in the truck, we go around town, and he talks about what we're doing, what we're not doing. For instance, all the curbs around the schools have to be done by the DPW. So we literally have to bring in snow removal. And so we have to have a crew of 5, 10 guys, and they come, and then there's a front loader. We have to clear out all the handicap ADA ramps for the sidewalks, which is normally a resident's obligation around school becomes our obligation. So, and then if you had noticed, there are 2 streets that are cobblestone. They have to be cleared out. That also requires special equipment. And then you have, if you were driving on Kincomac while they were doing this, there was literally 30 feet of snow, a 30-foot tower of snow, which then had to be put into a dump truck and brought down to DPW. area. So if you go down to KGB Park where we park for the swim club, it's melting now, but there was literally 30 feet of snow from the river all the way up to the main drag in there. So all these things, so in a way, it's not the type of weather event, it's the consequences of the weather event that determines the overtime. Jason, are you back with us
Yeah,
yet?
you hear me?
Yeah. Jason, anything I said that is incorrect or needs to be that you need to elaborate on, feel free to.
No, you explained it well. It's also, and I'll relate, also Mike's here too. There is traffic stuff that we have to make sure that we take care of. Obviously the drop-offs in front of the schools and everything, and then down on the south end, the corners, the bus drop-offs, the bus shelters, all the shoveling. It's not as easy as everybody thinks, just plow and you go home. We have a lot of obligations. So we're not put in any kind of difficulties with slip and falls and all the other stuff. So we also have all the way down to the Route 4 overpass. You might think that's state, but that's not. We have an obligation to shovel that and salt that. So there's a lot of stuff that comes with with snow that doesn't really come with a hurricane.
Bus shelters.
So
we
the-
gotta talk about that.
Yeah, bus shelters as well. Bus shelters, everything.
Parking lots.
You mentioned the school, and Mayor mentioned the school. The school sidewalks are our responsibility.
No, the school sidewalks is their responsibility. The access to from sidewalk to sidewalk is our responsibility. So it's all very complicated and delineated depending upon, statutes by contractual agreements and things like that. But yes, snow is much more labor intensive. And yeah, you just don't simply plow and you're done. It took us what, Jason? It took another 24.
Altogether, that storm was almost 40 hours, and then going through the whole town trucking snow was the whole following week and a half to get to clear the corners.
You don't have to get it. You don't have to do it on overtime, maybe.
No, they're not on overtime, but I'm just saying 40 hours for the initial, just to leave to get all the borough properties cleared. Because you also, just so you guys know, we have cobblestone roads. So
Yeah.
Webb and Lincoln, you can't plow them with a regular plow. I have to actually push them down and then truck all that snow out at the end of the snowstorm. That's an additional hour and a half right there with the loaders and everything just to get that snow gone. So there's a lot of pieces to a snowstorm that aren't to a hurricane.
Do you have a follow-up question?
No, thank you. Thank you,
Al,
Liz.
I think no, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to Chris first, and then I'll go to the chief, and then I'll go to Al. Chris, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to add real quick that in 2021, which is where this report starts, 21, 22, and 23, we had 4 different accounts where overtime was split between. We had buildings and grounds salary and wages. We had maintenance and parks salary and wages, repair and maintenance, which is what we're talking about now, recycling and vehicle maintenance all had their own overtime lines. In 2024, we consolidated all of them for a bunch of reasons. But ultimately, if you look at those reports as we go through the rest of this, you'll see that the overtime is now 0 for all of them. So it has been consolidated. So while all of the storm-related things are a big component of that, the appearance of the increase is probably not as realistic as what actually happened. The increase wasn't really materially different.
Thank you, Chris. Chief?
Yeah, just real quick, just on what Jason said, just to something that people often don't think about or realize. With storms as big as they are, Jason, myself, the superintendents will confer, because obviously they want to get those schools open. And why the streets look clear the next day and parents are like, why aren't the schools opening, or why is there a delayed opening? We work closely, I talk closely with the superintendents and Jason to say, hey, what are we going to do? The kids can't climb over those mountains and on those corners. So Jason's got to get in with his guys, and they come in earlier than they ever do. And they move, as you can see, just go down to KBG and you can see how much snow they move. So that's like stuff behind the scenes, maybe that people don't realize, that it's a huge operation to take care of those storms. I think Jason makes it looks almost easy to where we're moving around and we're back at school at 10 the next day. And the superintendents are very grateful because not every district is able to pull that off.
Al?
I just want to throw a couple kudos to Jason and the crew. I mean, these guys do a fabulous job of taking care of our town and keeping it open. I noticed in a comment here that the one of the storms, and I don't know which one it was, but I mean, it couldn't have been, the street was covered, and then probably within 15 minutes, all of a sudden the truck is coming through and plowing through a lane to give the police, to give the fire department, to give the ambulance corps a opportunity to be able to get to a scene if they had to. And this is at the beginning of the storm, so that the streets are open for us to get to where we have to go in the event of a bad situation. And there's no way to, kind of put this into money, at least in my mind, but it's saving lives and it's helping people get where they have to go. Just a final comment. Yeah, I knew somebody that was a nurse in Hackensack, and she had to go to work during the storm. And she said, "Boy, I got out of River Edge fine, but as soon as I got into Hackensack, I was slipping and sliding all over the place. It took me longer to get into the Hackensack hospital than it would have taken any time before. It was an unbelievable difference in how the streets were maintained. So, Jason, you're doing a great job. Thank you."
And Jason, Jason, you were 5 guys down?
Yeah, thanks, Al. So the other thing that, just so you all understand, this year, since we had such a snowstorm and I have to increase it, that doesn't mean next year, if we go through the whole beginning of the year, January, February, and we go back to the old way, this would be an item that can increase or decrease. So I would be always open to looking at it to possibly decrease it back down to 27 grand as well. This just happens to be a year that we started off really getting destroyed. So with the overtime.
Pretty, anything else?
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Any other member of council or of the committee?
Just a question.
Question or comment?
Just a question, Jason, on page 76, there's only one line item there. So the contract went down 50,000 for this year, which is great. When is the new contract for garbage coming up?
So that will be 2029, the end of 2029. I believe it's November of 29. So the problem is, and Chris can talk more to this, we looked at it again this year to try to offset some costs. We tried to leave that a little high year over year because at the initial time when we were ready to go out for contracts, we were able to go outside with the cap. That means Chris didn't have to stick to the cap that the state provides them, the percentage. So we loaded up those to go outside. So this was a very favorable contract. I just want this council to know, very favorable. It was supposed to be around 300 grand more. So what's going to happen is we wanted to try to keep that 150 to 100 grand more. So when we have to start building it back up to the next contract, it's not so great. And just in case we're not allowed to go outside the cap, we don't hit the town residents in 28 and 29 with this massive increase. So we deducted it last year by 200,000 and an additional 500,000 this year since that contract came in. So that's what I believe Chris felt comfortable with, and I will let him explain farther because he understands more of the outside, going outside the cap and everything else. So Chris, if you want to chime in.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, and this is actually very similar to the conversation you had earlier about debt service, right? It's also a matter of making sure that we don't end up with a big spike, right? So if we build in small increases over the life of the current garbage contract, by the time we get to an inevitable increase in a future contract, we won't be, a couple $100,000 behind. We did that with this last one as well. So far, it's fared us very well. And, that's the plan, moving forward unless there's a desire, by the council to change that.
No, this is a conservative budgeting process of anticipating not just the current need, but future needs, because the taxpayer cannot bear a burden of a sudden increase. You can't simply say, oh, look, we kept the budget, the tax increase to 2%, and then 3 years down the line say, oh, but now it's going to be 20%. So that people can't budget for that. That's just unreasonable. There are towns that do this. In Bergen County, there are towns right now doing this to their residents, where they had a council who wanted to look good and said, oh, we're going to have a flat zero budget. Your taxes aren't going to go up, at least on the municipal level. And they did this until they all got voted out of office. And then what happened was an auditor came in and said, oh my God, we're going to downgrade your status because you don't have any surplus. You don't have any of this. You don't have any of that. And the taxpayers are getting 12, 15, 20% tax increases on the municipal side because of
Business.
yeah, it's nonsense. Conservative budgeting practices serve the public better. They serve the departments better. They serve the mission better. So kudos to Jason, to Chris, and to all our other department heads for the work they do to make sure that we have a steady budget instead of an erratic budget. Okay, Jason, where do you want to go now?
Is that all the questions? You're all good?
I think so. I don't see any other hands. So
Okay.
is there anything else on the OEM that you, on your salary and wages or operation?
No, Chris really hit the other major increases at the beginning, that were the big drivers of the budget increase, like the electric and the gas and all the BCUA fines. So I think I'm okay with the OE. At this time, I'll just go right to the capital.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, Mayor, I just have one. Just for my clarification, I'm not understanding what is page 79, line 190. If you don't mind explaining for my knowledge what it is, please. Thank you.
So that's increased tipping fees. That's so that's the recycling line. Chris, what is that line at? If you don't mind me asking.
Currently paid, or which
No, what how much did we budget this year for that increased tipping?
65,000. So
Yeah, I'm looking for the page.
That's a good question.
I'm looking at 5 years now.
Yeah.
When we started the inflation.
Yeah.
So what exactly?
Yes.
The increased tipping fees is at 65,000. We have it decreased by 5,000 using the December bill of about 5,400 times 12 months.
Okay, so that's our recycling tipping. Recycling we used to get paid for. Now we have to pay for it. It's a commodity, so it varies from month to month. The price can go up, the price can go down. Last month, I had a bill come in for our recycling tipping for, I believe it was $4,700. January's bill was $5,200. So again, it fluctuates. I was trying to decrease that line, but at the end of the day, what's going on is last year we went down to 40. If you see a year over year for the last 3 years, let me get to that so I can explain it better.
Is this plastics and cardboard or?
Yeah, it's all recyclables, cans, plastic, glass, cardboard. So what page number was that again? 69?
79.
79.
The question is just what it is. What it
The question is what it is, and also if it is recycling, then on page 80, it says recycling tax. That's different from tipping. I just want to understand what tipping here.
Yeah, tipping is our disposal of it. Pretty much that's all it is. Our disposal of all recycling materials.
So we are approximately using $65,000 to dispose recycling.
No, we're budgeting.
Budgeting.
65,000.
We're approximately using, if you look year over year, 1 year in 23 was 65,000. 24 was 27,000. 25 is 36,000. It's all over the globe. And starting I wanted to decrease it, but starting out this year, we're already at $4,200 and $4,700.
So it'd probably be cheaper for us not to recycle, right?
Yeah.
It's cheaper for a ton of garbage, to be quite honest with you, but that's the state laws don't allow us to do that. So we have to make sure that we have an adequate amount of money in that line.
And there is nothing that the county or the state would go that we are doing so good with recycling.
No, this is a third party that collects our recycling. So this is not the BCUA. We have to have our own contracts with our own vendors. So we signed a 4-year contract with Atlantic Coast Fiber back in, I believe that was the end of 24.
Yeah.
So we have a 4-year contract with them, and they provide all services, where some of the recycling vendors only supply either cardboard and or the commingle end. So
it just for my clarification, this means that in the budget, not only this, but also the line 300, which is the recycling tax, almost like $80,000 we are budgeting for recycling.
yes, and that's the county recycling tax. That's the 3%. That's for that we get back on our, Chris, don't we get that back with our the tonnage grant?
Yeah, it's a imprecise calculation that the state does that
Yes.
they try to give us something back.
Yeah, so it is two different things, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We're good? Al?
Am I correct in, is this stuff the tipping, is that going into the landfill?
No, this gets recycled. This is where they bundle it. This is, we use, again, Atlantic Coast Fibers. We pick it all up, we bring it to them, and they bundle and send it out to whoever the vendors are that recycle the product. There's the middle ground tipping.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Can we move on?
I just have a clarification question. Jason, on page 80, the only item there, just for connecting the dots of Councilwoman Agrawal's question, could you explain what a recycling tax is?
It's a tax the county puts on us, right, Chris? And Chris could probably go more to this, but it's a tax the county puts on us. It's a 3% tax. I forgot what it's taxed to. Chris could probably do that. It's not the overall tax. It's a 3% tax, I guess, of what we tip, Chris, if I'm correct, or
Yeah, it's just $3 per ton of solid waste. That's basically all it is.
yeah. So the more we pick up, the more we get back on the recycling tonnage grant.
Got it. And it's increased because, like you explained, it's a commodity, so we're just giving
Yeah.
ourselves.
Well, year over year, there's an increase to that. To that. So,
Thank
It's
you.
supposed to incentivize generating less garbage.
yes.
If you want to see
No,
that.
good, very well. Yeah, that's it.
All goes to the landfill, believe me, I've been
Yeah.
doing this.
Okay, let's move on. Jason, continue.
All right, so we're good with that. We'll go into capital. How about that? Make it easy. All right. So do you guys all have my spreadsheet that's right?
Yes. Wait.
We have several.
Yes.
Yeah,
Your
if you go to the actual beginning spreadsheet, the actual summary sheet, and we'll start from there. So everybody's on the same page.
Okay, go ahead. We'll catch up.
Okay, so as you can see on the summary page, we have, you guys good?
Yep, go ahead.
We have 9 categories,
Yes.
equaling a total of 1,464,388.80 for the year. That is way down from last year's. I just want to say that because I know there were some questions on that where we were around $5 million going into this year in capital. And that's a decrease due to what we're eligible to do on salt shed down in the DPW and some other items I've pretty much moved down or taken off.
Sorry.
So-
So look at this sheet. Look at this sheet. Look just at the top line, and you'll see that at the end of the top line, it says 1.4.
Yep.
Because this is 2026, 2027, 2028.
So we're going to look at, just so everybody understands, the other capital years are not completed yet due to grant possibilities. So you're going to see in those sheets that there's a lot of highlighted areas that we're still waiting and they're all pending. So I just want to really concentrate on this year's and go.
But I mean, prospectively, not to.
Yeah.
All right.
Continue.
All right. So the first one we'll go to is vehicles on the following page. It'll have 3 vehicles on there.
Yes, we have it. Go ahead.
One is a 2026 Toro field screener.
Actually, hold on, Jason. Why don't we do this? Can you, do you want to throw it up on the screen? Because I think people, your budget's a little bit complicated.
All right. If you want to share. You want to share?
Share.
Oh my God, I'm horrible at doing this stuff, just so you know.
Maybe Chris can do it.
Do you have? Jason, don't do it. Chris, would you please put up Jason's spreadsheets? Jason, keep going. Chris will get it done when he can get it done.
Okay, in 2026, we have a ball field screener that will be replacing a 26-year-old groomer that's been through 2 floods and is starting to fall apart. That is an estimated 40.
Yeah, next.
There you go, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, that is an estimated $42,000. I got actually the quote here. The second item is a new John Deere Gator. We have an old open cart that is also 26 years old that was bought with the groomer. That has broken its axle and the brakes are no longer working correctly. That was $40,000. Have a quote here. And then the bus is Chris put this on here because there is no debt on this. That's why it's highlighted. We reconsolidated funds from the past to this line. So it's in this year's capital, but it's funded through closed out old capital lines. If I said that correctly, right, Chris?
Yeah, and it will be. The resolution hasn't passed yet, right? We want to get through this meeting, but when we do adopt this ordinance, assuming that we actually have to keep this one on because we've already authorized this with an emergency authorization previously. So that'll fund the emergency authorization, but it will be done in conjunction with a cancellation resolution for the old balances that Jason's referring to.
Yeah, and this is to fund the bus that's a 2008 that the floor fell through. The driver's floor fell through the driver's seat fell through the floor, and now the motor is on its last leg, ready to blow up. So we did get 17 years out of it, 18 years out of this bus.
That's good, Jason. Keep going.
All right, let's go next to roads. Next page, Chris.
Jason, keep going. He'll catch up.
All right. So roads, we have our obligation. So we all know PSE&G will be doing phase 2. They started last year. We've recently sat down with them. They'll be starting up again as soon as the snow starts to dissipate. They'll be going from Concord to Continental. We did start what we're obligated to pave, and that was Manning. These are other streets that we're going to be obligated to pay in this process, and they will be paving the rest. This is taking full streets on our end and then putting our allowance, instead of them doing one half of a street, putting our allowance that they're giving us to complete street paving on those streets. So this is what we have. So pretty much it's Elm Ave all the way from Continental to Berkeley we're responsible for, Concord Drive, and Tenney Ave, right in front of the Borough Hall to the library. Now, I'm funding for these this year because I have to wait. I won't be able just to go out to bid on these. I'll have to wait until PSE&G is completed with their pipe installation before we can do this. But this is just the funding to put in place so we can pave them as soon as they're done. Chris, next. Parking lots, there is 0. ADA ramps, that's the next one, Chris. ADA ramps, so this was a 5-year, so we had a 5-year plan to these ramps. to be able to do all the ramps to the paving streets we're responsible for and to follow PSE&G. I pushed that out into 6 years just due to the cost and tried to spread it out a little bit. So this program will go to 27. This is Valley Road. So we're caught up right now all the way to Continental. So the section that PSE&G is in, that is completed, besides Grant Streets that we're going to wait to get grants on to put those ramps in. This year we'll be going Howland South down to Route 4. And if you see the streets right under it, that'll be the corners that are done. So Valley's a big part of that. And then of course, Taft, Van, Sawn, Lexington. So the cost of 167,750 is all the streets, the engineering costs, the police costs, and I did put 5% costs in there, as you could see, for unforeseen costs. All these are going to have unforeseen costs. So if they hit a manhole out of nowhere or something that was unexpected in the engineer plan, we have a little bit of room there to be able to make adjustments and have the money available. Anything bigger than that would obviously go in front of the council again if something was to hit. Any questions on that?
Jason, we're going to hold questions until you're done with presentations, and then there'll be questions and comments.
All right. Curbs and sidewalks, there is none. Building and grounds. Chris. Building and grounds. All right. So you see right there. So as we started Borough Hall, I talked to the chief and I was talking to a couple of members of council at that time that we were going to slow roll and try to do a lot of Borough Hall, obviously in-house and quoting, trying not to use professional services like engineers. So what we started last year was painting, removing the wallpaper in Borough Hall and starting the process. This year, I like to continue the painting and actually finish it on the public safety side. I would like also to replace the public safety floors. And actually, Chris, you could take that from 200,000 to 160. I finally got the quote back. So I will do it on my spreadsheet, just so you know. That could be a reduction of 40,000.
Okay, we're going to hold here. Because it's a reduction, I don't think this will require a lot of thought. All those in favor of altering the draft by $40,000 for buildings and grounds item, replace public safety floors from 200,000 to 160,000. Could I have a motion and a second? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is so altered. Continue, Jason.
Okay, and then last year we funded the lights to go to LED. So this year I would like to fund the ceiling tiles throughout the whole public safety building because they're all warped, falling down, or stained with leaks from the old roof that we used to have. We did replace the roof 2 years ago, along with the AC units. So I'm looking for 40,000 there. This will actually complete the Borough Hall, the complete Borough Hall and to the public safety side, with the exception of the kitchen, which I think I can work with Chris on that with a couple other accounts we have. So this will pretty much bring us the whole building up to today's standards.
Okay, let's stop here for a second. Chris, is the 40,000 in the draft or is it waiting to be approved for the draft?
It's in the draft.
Because it's in red, that's why I asked. Chris, you're muted.
Sorry about that. The draft has 42,000, so it had the 40,000 and we added a 5% buffer because I think at the time maybe we didn't have final prices. So on the spreadsheet that we've been working on, like that PDF document with the general capital summary that we've been working down the line for all the other departments, it does have public safety building ceiling tiles at 42,000. So
you can bring that down to 40, Chris.
So it doesn't require an action on our part to the draft because it's already in the draft. Is that correct?
It would actually have to be reduced from 42 to 40. The same applies to the wallpaper and interior painting, which is right above it. I had that at 42. If we can drop that to 40, we can do that as well. And the gas pump I have at 15,750. So if that's going to be
Keep that.
15,000, we
If
can
you,
drop that.
yeah, can you just keep that at 15,750 because I got a solid price on that through a vendor.
All right, so it seems like it's either budget neutral or being a reduction. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, Chris, state it again. I'm gonna ask for the council to move it as a motion for altering the draft. Go ahead.
So the draft for public safety wallpaper removal and interior painting, that's going to go from 42,000 down to 40,000. The public safety building ceiling tiles, that's going to go from 42,000 down to 40,000. And the public safety building floors, which I think we already did, is going from, on the draft it was 210 to 160,000.
Okay, so just so that we don't have any problems, could I have a motion and second to approve these alterations of the draft?
So moved. Second.
All right, is there debate?
What would the new flooring be? I'm curious how we're saving 40 or 50,000 over us.
So I was able to, so at the time I was going around to other vendors, pretty much co-ops, and getting the vendors who are either in a Sourcewell contract, a state contract, county contract, or just outside vendors to give me a price that were in no contracts. At the end, after this doc was submitted to Chris, actually within the last 3 weeks, I had a phone conversation with Flooring Concepts, who's a federal vendor that actually did the firehouse. They finally got back to me, and they came and estimated the floor out to be at 160. So
VT or what?
What's up?
What's the flooring?
Well, there's going to be 3 types of flooring. So in the basement, we're going to do, I was talking with the chief to make sure he was okay with it. In the processing room, some of the areas are going to be epoxy in the staircase, the basement, and the processing room. Some areas are going to be rug in the offices, and some area are going to be laminate, just like the Borough Hall has in the open areas, like the hallways. And
Thank you. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
You will.
Okay, so we've been moved and seconded. We've had a question. Is there more debate or question? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? We have 1 abstention. Councilwoman Montana Cohen is currently off the dais. She will return in a minute, but for the sake of the vote, that she is an abstention. All right, Jason, keep going.
All right, and then next area is emergency capital funds, Chris, the next page. These are funds that we're always putting in place year over year. These are for sewer repairs that are unexpected and for borough buildings that are outside the OE budget. So if there's a pump that fails, a water separator pump in company 1 or 2, if there's anything that happens with roofing falling in, this line picks it up. That obviously is over what my operating could handle. So that's a year-over-year costs.
Keep going.
All right, so let's go to storm drain sewer line. So there's two here. What is that for? Oh wait, sorry. So this is a line that's optional besides the last 2 years. You've had a resident that lives on Lakeview come in front of the council talking about an easement that is between Lakeview and Bogert that is flooding his backyard. Talking with our borough engineer, and I know next week we have our attorney getting involved in this situation. This would be funds to help if there's any thing that they decide to do in either putting in a drain or any other. It's pretty much putting putting together a little bit of an account just in case something has to be done there to relieve the flooding in the backyards or what will be done. And then next one is
keep going.
Tree replacement, Chris. Tree replacement. So this is where we were talking about off of Joe's line. So the council approved a 5-year forestry plan that has to be submitted and adopted or approved by the State Forestry Division. We have that in right now. And in that plan, we have to show our at least 30,000 worth of trees. That was our average with the town removed. So that's trees that are on the curb lines, not residential trees. So we also have to show the replacement plan with that. Now we do get a lot. This might not be spent all the way down year over year because we do get assistance once in a while from DOT grants that would help assist us not using this money, but it has to be in place as per our forestry plan. Chris, are miscellaneous repairs?
You just keep going. We'll tell you, once you stop,
So-
go to questions and comments.
Yeah, so miscellaneous repairs, there was a couple of people that were wondering if we can continue the decorations that we've done up Bogart Road on the Borough Hall, since that's now all done. So I came up with $20,000 for that. I will put the lights like at Fire Company 1 that they have that change all different colors. So if it's gun awareness, it could be orange. If there's a funeral or somebody passes, it could be purple or Christmas or any of those, and then some wreaths and everything else. The decorative light poles. So throughout the borough, River Edge, PSE&G owns some of them, and the town owns some of them. The ones that the town owns are old fluorescent bulbed lamps that are no longer serviceable. We've had licensed contractors come out. They're just so rotted at the base. So we have to start replacing them. Each head costs $4,000. That's not the pole. That's just the head. So what I would like to start doing, we're doing this year through an insurance claim. We're able to do 7 heads on River Edge Road. I would like to update the ones down by Company 2 on Ackerson, and eventually replace the ones in front of 7-Eleven on the north and south end. So that's what that 20,000 is for.
Okay. Anything else?
Chris, that's supposed to be 20,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I reversed them. It's 20,000 for the decorative lamps, 15,000 for the decorations to the Borough Hall.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the whole capital.
Okay, we're going to go first to Chris, if you could return it to a full screen. Okay, any member from the Citizen Budget Committee who has a question or a comment? Joe.
Just on the Jason, on that bus, the senior citizens bus.
Yes.
So the 150,000 is what we're going to need out of capital, or is that we don't need anything out of capital because you're using old bond money?
So Chris, go ahead. I'll let Chris explain that, how we close the accounts.
Yeah, it will technically be part of the bond ordinance. It will be part of capital, but we'll be doing simultaneously, we'll be canceling old balances. So we're not going to be authorizing new debt. That's probably the best explanation for it.
Right. So that 150,000 is for accumulation of old bonds, correct? Capital.
Effectively, we're just reappropriating old balances, but you'll see 2 separate pieces of legislation. One is an ordinance to adopt
right
for the us, and the other is to cancel the old balances.
Okay.
And just so the council knows, in the budget committee, we've been going through, me and Chris have been going through, and Whit Lizette, and looking at all these old accounts of what we could close out and how we could offset a lot of the emergency sort of aspects of what we have to purchase.
Okay, anything else? Greg?
I'm good, thank you.
Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Jason.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I had a question about the page concerning storm drains and sewer line replacement.
Okay.
With the years 2028 and 2029, I see that the plan is to replace the same stretch of the Oak Ditch from Howland to Wayne. I assumed that that was a typo.
No, so what happens is that's really a placeholder that could be moved or it could be taken out or left in. What we're left with is the backyard. So Oak Ave goes all the way from Valley Road and a wide open ditch to Wayne. So it's going to take a couple years in each section to start, I guess, fixing the embankments of this waterway. The problem that we addressed is about 3 years ago, Valley Road, we had to replace head walls off of Valley. And as we were going up, we noticed a lot of embankment was starting to erode up the stream. So what we have to do is eventually bring in a company to start remediating or Ving the structure out, putting riprap in, some felt fabric, and go right up the ditch to make it secure with fencing and everything else in the people's backyards. Because eventually, if you get floods, since that's a main artery for water to go out, you're going to start getting backyards washed away. So this is in there to start the process. It's going to be a multi-year process just to get up to Howland from Valley. So this is something the council, I wanted to put in front of the council so they understand that this is going to have to be done eventually. But it's right now, there's no immediate danger to that. So of the sides collapsing.
Okay, thank you. I have to say, everybody could see when there's a snowstorm and our roads are clear, right? Everyone sees that, but nobody sees the behind the scenes, the planning that takes place over the course of years to get us to where we are now. So thank you for that.
No problem. No problem.
I want to jump in here for a second and talk about what Jason was just saying, the money that we're putting aside for these embankments. We had an emergency on Valley because of a failed head wall due to erosion because of sudden storms. And it cost us a tremendous amount. So being proactive will save the citizens of River Edge more money than if we just wait until they fail. And having them fail is not really an option because now we're basically washing away. We are not doing it, but the failure would lead to a washing away of people's private property, and that enters us into another whole liability, legal question. So this is money well spent, and I'm saying that really more for the public than for any of you who might be watching this. We have to consider the long-term effects and the possibility of a failure, and so the capital expenditure is actually going to save people money, though it may not seem that way right now. Thank you, Jason. Anyone else from Citizen Budget Committee want to ask a question or make a comment? From the council?
Rechecking if anyone else is virtual and public or
We've already done that. If you looked at the agenda, we opened to the public at the beginning for public comments. Yeah.
And just so everybody else knows on the council, I just want to lay this out. When you do plan, like the mayor said, it's a lot cheaper because when you start bringing in excavators and everything on an emergency basis, the price is like double. So I just want everybody to understand that.
Yeah, it's a tremendous expense. Okay, anyone from the council, comment or question?
Oh, Jason, I have a question. On the capital replacement plan for roads, I don't see Bogart Road on the 2026. I thought that was the plan.
So Bogart Road is you're going to get curbs and sidewalks completed. I believe that's going to go up to, I think that goes up to Adams, and then next year they'll be finishing it. That is a grantable street, so we will not be using capital to fund that street. That will be funded under a grant, whether it's this year. I believe that's being put into the 2026, right? Because 25 was section 10, I believe, that gets up to Adams. I think that's either being put into 2026 or 27 DOT grant. I would have to look at my notes and records on that.
Chris is.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna add before we move past Jason's capital, the two at the very bottom of the capital sheets that you have, they're not on his document because they are grants. We are appropriating the 2025 DOT grant, that's Bogut Road Section 10. The only portion that we're covering is the engineering, the Section 20 costs, and then the outside duty related to the project. The rest of it will be covered through grant funding. And also underneath that is the CDBG grant for ADA bathroom upgrades. Again, we would be covering the Section 20 costs, and the rest of it is covered under a grant. So I don't know if we're going to get to that later, but I didn't want that to be a surprise because that will be an ordinance. Generally, it's a separate ordinance when it's funded through the grants.
Okay. Any question from any member of council or from the Citizen Budget Committee? We're doing really well. Jason, is there anything more you want to bring before this body?
No, Mayor, I believe that's all of it.
Very good. Thank you. We'll now move on to, well, do we need to take a 5-minute break, anybody?
Please.
Let's just do a 5-minute break. We're going to reconvene at 11:30 and then we're going to go straight to the library. We return to order. There will be a slight change. Dara, we're just going to have the administrative budget and capital. It shouldn't take us but a moment. So we're going to just.
Okay.
It was not put in the agenda, but so that was just a slight oversight. Madam Administrator.
Yes, I only have 2 items in my capital budget. $5,000 listed for computers and IT equipment. Our IT consultant recommends that we always have on hand, based on the cost of computer equipment, $12,500. In the event there's failures for computers, a whole bunch have to be replaced, issues with monitors, server, if somebody needs not a laptop that's operating, a webcam for their training and whatnot. So since we still have a pretty good balance, all I am requesting for this year is $5,000. And with document scanning, we had started this in 2021 and 2022. We have a scanning company come in, reorganize our records, which makes it easier to follow records retention and destroy records with state permission, and that's past its retention life. And also what they do is scan building department documents, and what we're trying to do is also land use documents. So that way they are easily searchable for Oprah requests or for new property owners wanting to know what has happened in their property. And blocks and lots have changed. For example, land use, when it was planning board, those records are categorized by year, not by property. So when we receive an Oprah request, it's very labor intensive to try to look for these documents. So this is just to modernize. And as they scan it, any paper that can be destroyed, they let us know. We go through the state process and we destroy the records accordingly. And as I mentioned, if the recreation director cannot obtain a vehicle from the existing fleet, I'm willing to reduce the scanning and just extend the program an additional year.
Okay. Question. Actually, since you're very small, why don't we go to your operating, and then we'll do questions and comments.
There's no changes in my operating, no significant.
See how beautiful that is? Okay, great. Okay, first to the committee. Any member of the committee who'd like to ask a question or make a comment?
Yeah, if the wrecked vehicle doesn't work out with a pre-owned vehicle or original vehicle, and Lizette, you're going to take 30 grand out of that 55, would that remaining balance at least get you to do something?
Yes, it will help get us started with land use records.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, any other member from the committee? Council? Comment, question? Hearing none.
I just have one question.
Sure.
Regarding the document scanning,
This is for the building department. This is something you said we started in 2021.
Yes.
So the cost, which is $55,000, has been going on since 2021.
I think it was about,
Has it increased, decreased?
well, the first year it was in building department scanning. It was going through a whole bunch of documents that were in the attic that was weighing the original building down and causing a lot of the structural problems. And they went and helped reorganize records, and then scanning started in 2022. It's a lot of documents. The plans are very large. You know, a lot of properties have a lot of permitting done. So that was about 55,000. And then we paused since we were off-site and not to cause any further disruption. And I always put in those budgets will resume upon completion of Borough Hall.
Right. No, it's a great process to like digitize and introducing all that paper, but the cost is, why is the cost different in all these 5 years that you've listed, or a couple of years that you've listed? But have you thought like from 55 to 50 to 45? Like why would that difference?
Because we're doing the bulk now to get as much done as possible. And then we'll eventually be done with scanning everything. Any new applications, new files that come in, it'll be nominal.
So after the bulk is done with the third party, it's done by the third party, right? Right.
It's done by, yes, it's being done by a third party because of the size of, it's not just the quantity or the size of the documents. It has to be scanned in a program that's not a regular PDF. The state requires a PDF-A and to be accepted as a digital record. So like, you know, when Anne scans the agenda to you and it's a PDF file, that's not an approved state file for records retention. So she has to hold on to the paper file.
Yeah, I understand, but maybe the project is bigger right now because it has just started a couple of years.
Yes.
After a couple of, like, let's say 2 years, when the third party has done most of it, can this be done in-house?
Not with, no, because we don't have the capability to scan the plans. You need a very large machine.
So a blueprint can be this wide.
But it will not be this figure. It will be much less.
So
it will just
okay,
be
so this
more of a
figure
maintenance.
would be less, like 2030 says 45, but it'll always be there.
It'll always be there. So probably in 2031, 32, you'll see it go down to 20 and then just probably be stagnant at 10.
Thank you.
Just in time when the debt goes down and then have to borrow again.
Those will be the glory days. Does this vendor charge a flat fee? How do they charge for the scanning?
They charge a fee per box of records. So they see what type of record it is. Like the fee they charge for like planning and building department records is different, where as opposed to like if it's just raffle applications or election.
So it's based on what's in the box, or it's per box, whatever's inside the box?
You tell them what department it is, and building and land use, because of what's inside the box documents, is one rate, as opposed if I say scan recreation documents, it'll be a different rate. Because it's not as complex, doesn't need a special machine.
Do we have a sense of how much of each is left to do?
The building department, we just started in 2022 and it's constantly building. And I think it was 40 boxes that went out.
And there were a couple of years where nothing was done.
Nothing was done because we were disrupted.
Has anyone looked into the cost of a large scanner that can accommodate these? I can't imagine that it would cost tens of thousands of dollars.
There's also labor costs. If we do that, we have to hire someone to do that.
Yeah.
And we don't have the space for a large capacity scanner for plans, and the programming also, like I said, it can't be a regular PDF. It has to be a state approved PDF-A. And then the state, what the company does, they petition the state and say, look, these are the records that we have digitized, and the state gives a certificate of approval.
Okay.
So I assume now when applicants make submittals, there has to be a PDF-A.
For the land use to consider?
So
No.
do that, so we don't have to do it, so they do it.
I don't think they have access to it. It's a specialized program. I guess we could consider it. We'd have to research whether it's something that can be done. It's basically a controlled PDF that can't be altered. So I don't know if the general public has access to that. We can certainly, what we want to do is ask the land use board to consider that first instead of the council or administration. So that, and Ms. Brown would be
Okay,
to determine,
okay, great.
and if it's something we can do and it's cost effective.
Right. Okay.
Greg?
Just real quick to back up what Lizette is saying. I don't know how many people on this panel or on the council were ever up in the attic of the old Borough Hall, especially when Alan Negrin was up there with his glasses down at the bridge of his nose looking for something. The fire load in that attic was incredible, along with the weight load. So if we have to scan a lot of that stuff, it's going to take quite some time and pretty expensive. So
Yeah. Any further questions
I
or
have a
comments?
question.
Yes?
Lizette, page 7, line ended 140, TV meetings. You requested $10,000?
Which is that?
7.
Oh, that's
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which line was that?
140 on top of page 7.
Okay, that is because of the maintenance contract and support for all this equipment that we just installed. The estimate was about almost $9,000.
Okay. And on page 35, line 017. Stipends, is that added somewhere else? Because there's 0 and you spend almost 4,500 there?
It's budgeted in the part-time number. That's for the construction office. That amount is the
On
amount.
012 line?
It's budgeted in 012, but we do charge it separately just to keep track of it. Those are the inspections that are outside of like the normal number of inspections that we pay on a salary.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council or the committee? All right, Lizette and thank you. Dara?
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How's it going?
Wonderful. And yourself?
Good. First things first, I wanted to thank you for squeezing us in instead of next weekend.
Well, we're hoping there will be no next weekend, so we're hoping that you are concise.
And I don't think I'll take too much time because our budget's very straightforward. It's based on minimum funding level, which is we call the third of a mil, which is a calculation and is under state law. It's based on the value of the property in the town, the municipality, and then there's also a maximum funding level, which we never get to discuss because there's no danger of the library's budget going up 15% in any given year. So, so our third of a mil went up significantly. So that's why you see a significant increase in the library's operating budget, in the bottom line, basically. So we hope to use that extra money to do some of the things we've needed to do and wanted to do, like more digital content and lots of new books. So I've only just started a discussion with the library board as to how we might do that. We had a discussion on Tuesday evening. We will discuss more deeply as the year progresses, and we'll come up with a budget for the rest of the year.
Which page is library? Sorry.
Page 106 and 107.
Thank you.
Okay, Dara, anything else that you'd like to say?
Well, just the bathroom thing, we're going to get a renovation in the bathrooms this year, but that's not a capital item. Apparently, it's grant funded.
Yes.
So I'm happy to take questions on the library's operating budget.
Okay, great. For the public's benefit, the library is a statutory requirement. If you have a library, for how much you're going to fund it, we are meeting that statutory requirement. But the library itself is run by the board. The board is appointed by the mayor and council, but that board is independent as it in its functioning. In the library, within the walls of the library, are also somewhat quasi-independent. So we fund their budget and they determine how to spend it. So all hiring and firing, all decisions about what they're going to spend money on, whether it's digital content or paper content, or from that point on, is under their jurisdiction. So having just said that, for the public's benefit, I would go. Do you want me to go? I was going to go first to the committee.
I was just going to make a statement.
Sure, go ahead.
With regards to the budget. Due to the fact, this was passed by the Finance Committee, that we, in the current budget, we have kept the 390, 100 flat at 138, 256, due to the fact that the third of a mil went up almost $100,000 to the library.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. The library board will probably be able to move some money from that you see currently in full-time and part-time salaries and wages, because there's room there.
Got it. I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Okay, so first, the committee, budget committee. Any members wish to make a comment or ask a question? Council, any comments or questions? This is wonderful.
I have one question, Mayor.
Sure.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Page 109. Is this?
I don't know that that's the budget.
That's not library. That's what department? Recreation. Okay, I just need to know that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any member of council have a question or comment?
I just want to correct myself. I said, Councilwoman Malalari pointed out, I said 138, 256. It should be 138, 610 being the number.
Okay.
As the number.
Yes, but
Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. All right, Dara, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. I believe that we have completed our task. Chris, anything that we did not cover or that you were concerned about?
Nothing that we didn't cover. The only thing I just want to, run this by everybody from a calendar perspective. If we're not going to have the next meeting, it's not going to push up our introduction, because the next normal meeting, I think, is the 12th, but that would be too soon. So we're still looking to introduce our budget on March 26th. And then we would have the public hearing and adoption 28 days later on the 23rd.
And as we've already mentioned, there may be some minor changes that are being discussed between the departments, and we've already agreed that we understand that. Keep going, Chris.
Yeah, and so that would be the budget item, and then the bond ordinance. I'll work with bond counsel to put it together once we have the answers to some of those questions.
Excellent. Ken.
Yeah, I know we didn't have a lot of cuts today, but my question to Chris is, did he track the math, and did we move the needle at all?
Well, yes. So on the operating budget, we had increases. The total's about 15.7, so we're at 4.57% increase versus the 4.47 increase that we started with. On the capital, however, we reduced the total from $2,681,000 down to $2,457,000. So that's a $224,000 reduction in the total capital projects.
And Chris, what's that do for the average taxpayer, for the layman's explanation?
Well, on the capital side, it's really a question of future debt. All right, so that's that over the next 10 years, we won't be paying debt on principal and interest on $224,000. The amortized cost of that is not material, but when you aggregate that year over year, it could be substantial. On the operating budget, the change was about $4 on the average taxpayer. The only thing I'll say right now is that the amounts that are on the tax impact sheet, we have the average residential assessment at $718,000. That's an estimate. Our final numbers still aren't available because of the way that our reassessment is working. But once that's updated, I'll send out a revision. But that's the estimated number for the average residential assessment.
Ken, anything else?
No, sir. Thanks.
Ken, I want to pick up on what you had said, that we didn't have a lot of cuts. We didn't have a lot of cuts because one of the things that the council and I decided on a couple of months ago was we were going to stop doing a bloated, especially given this year's healthcare increases that we knew about, the 37% increase. We were going to stop creating a bloated budget and cut down. What we did instead, we tasked the finance committee and the department heads with creating an essential budget. So we told them they need to cut for themselves and they need to cut quickly and present that to the finance committee. And then there was a back and forth with the CFO and then borough administrator. And so instead of when it originally, I think you said it was 5.6, 5.7, which is a substantial amount. They were able to get it down to 4.47. Then this review and opportunities for the department heads to make their presentation ticked it up just a slight amount. We wish we didn't have to do this, but with 37% or about $450,000 in health benefits all by itself that are out of control, BCUA, which is Bergen County Utility Authority, which is beyond our control, and so many other outside forces raising the budget, including, the overall increase or inflationary rate due to a lot of different factors. This is not where we want to be, but I think I want to commend the finance committee. I want to commend the Citizens Budget Committee. I want to commend the council, and I very much want to commend department heads and administrators for all that they did. As you saw, every single one of our department heads and administrators were looking at saying, okay, I need a few more dollars here, so let's cut it from there. While at the same time, not cutting so much that we'd end up with a erratic budget in future years that could have such a detrimental impact upon our residents. And we used as much surplus as was prudent, and we're still keeping our credit rating. Chris, what's our current credit rating?
It's AA minus. It's actually, you know what? I think we changed.
Are we AA plus?
Give me 1 second.
Sure. So all these things, they come together with, which is a product of frugal budgeting, which is something we've been doing for many years. Again, I always do a shout out to Al Bartoloni, to Ed Mignon, to Vito Acquafreda, who spearheaded some of the changes we did. The council was in full support, but they came up with ideas of creating a little bit more of an responsible budget than other municipalities do. And I have to commend this council over the number of years. We had essentially a $3 million renovation. There is a town 2 towns away that did a $25 million. So if you, according to my wife, Marie Math, we saved $22 million because we didn't spend what other people spent.
Managed by AA plus.
AA plus, yeah. And that helps us too in so many ways and keeps costs down. So if there is no further business, I will allow for brief comments. Is there any member of the Citizens Budget Committee would like to offer a brief comment? Al.
Again, very briefly, It looks like we're going to get a bump in our taxes because it's going to happen, I guess. You know, we
Yeah.
still have the schools that are going to come in. There's also been a change in the assessment, and that change has not only happened last year, but it's also happening again this year. I would just suggest to the mayor and council that they do a little maybe PR work for the town to help them understand what's going on and how much work you put into this. Because there's going to be a lot of moaning and groaning, and people don't understand how it happens, and they just blame
We
everybody
actually
for it.
have done regular PR on this. We can re-educate the public, and we did put it in letters, and we did explain that in order to create a fair and reasonable assessment that there's a reassessment every year for the next 5 years till 2029, and it's 20%, so that what happens is those people who are building don't get an unexpected benefit to building, where the people who are not building are covering their equalized tax burden. But instead, we're reevaluating 20% of the town each year. So, but yes, absolutely, I hear what you're saying. We agree. But just so you know, we have been doing this on a regular basis. Letters keep going out. We put it, but of course, sometimes people miss it, and so we can always do better. You can always do better. Anything else, Al?
Yeah, just to comment on your comment, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
But
no.
I think that this needs to be a continuing operation if if that's what you want to do. I mean, there are a lot of people that are concerned about it and have a general misunderstanding of how the whole process works. So take it for what it's worth.
No, I appreciate it, and I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just to explain that, Al, I think, years ago when you and I were on the committee 1,000 years ago when we came up with this pie chart, and if the advertisement that the mayor and council have done for years is you should read your damn pie chart. So the pie chart is an average household, $16,000-$17,000 in taxes, pays about $4,400 of that portion goes to our budget in the town, right? That's for everything these guys on the top screen here or side screen, depending upon how it displays on you, have come up with. And these are things that, my friends in TV land don't want to come to this thing and understand that we're down to quality of life decisions.
Yeah.
Toner cartridge, paper cartridges, all that stuff like Chief Mike talked about, that stuff's gone, right? We're not sitting on a boatload of paper in the hallway. Now it's a question of, hey, we could tell Jason, don't show up, right? Stay within your budget. You start, leaf pickup and snow removal at 8 o'clock and you end at 5 like you're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
But we don't. We do the right thing by the town and the town's people at those numbers. So it really is important for the average American in this town to read their pie chart and understand where 67.7% of your household taxes go to, and make decisions on whether you want to challenge that portion of the pie as opposed to this portion of the pie.
You make an excellent point. In fact, we really represent 25-26%, depending on the year, of the overall tax bill. We must collect it all. We are obligated under state law statute to collect for the school, for the county, and such. But and we have to transfer that money upon demand to the school and to the county. But for this, you get a 24-hour police force. You get essentially a 24-hour DPW. You get a rec program where we've increased the programming. You get a administrative staff that is responsive and really tries to use a customer service model, as well as our police department or DPW. We have a fire department next to none, incredible. It's been recognized by the county, and it's mostly volunteers, but this equipment costs money, and safety counts. We have the library doing a phenomenal job with programming. All these things. Am I leaving anything out?
Great parks.
Great parks, yes. We have all these parks that are available to our young families and to our older kids, and to our seniors. So you're right. We are really only 25%, 26% of the overall tax bill. 67 of it is the two school districts that we have, the River Edge and the Riverdale, and we have done everything in our power over the last 14 years to cut away the fat. We're down to an essential budget right now.
And very safe community.
And an extremely safe community. And I'm constantly being recognized in either state or nationally as top 100 towns we got recognized as top 100 towns to live in New Jersey, top 300 towns to live in the United States, very safe, walkable. And to Jason's credit, I want to call him out right now. He has worked at getting us to a point in the next 2 or 3 years, we will no longer be doing catch up with our capital, with our equipment or our buildings. We will now be at a point where we won't be saying, okay, something's about to break. Hopefully it won't cost too much. Really wonderful job. Thank you to everyone, to our chiefs, to our superintendent, to our administrators, to the council, and to the budget committee. So thank you, Ken, for saying that. I really, really appreciate that. But thank you, Al, for reminding us that we have a constant obligation for a PR. So we do. Anyone else from the Citizens Budget Committee? Yes, Joe.
Thank you, Mayor. I conveyed this to you earlier this week. In reviewing this budget in preparation for this meeting, I said to you earlier, there's no fluff in this budget. Okay. I said, I don't know where we're going to cut anything. Okay. We found a few places, but realistically, this was a bare bones budget to try and lessen the tax burden on the taxpayer of River Edge, right?
Yeah.
And I commend you for that, Mayor and Council. Our department heads, especially Jason and Chief Walker, you did a great job not only in budgeting for this year, but also in your planning for future years of budgeting so that, we don't have those erratic raises in taxes. Very important. Our budget committee or the other members of the Citizen Budget Committee, great work. And of course, our borough administrator and our CFO. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Greg. Council, comments, any?
Thank you, Mayor, for getting us through this quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
I try to be
Us
efficient.
Next Saturday.
Thank you for saving me.
I really appreciate the effort and the leadership that
Thank you.
our council president put into getting this thing done. Yes, that's you, Indy. And really, I gotta say, I'm kind of echoing what everyone already said, but the department heads made it easy this year. Because they did what they're great at, they cut everything to the bone and they presented budgets that were well thought out and reasonable and provided the services we need in this borough at the cheapest cost possible. And that made our job easier. So thank you guys for that.
I want to echo thanks to our council president, who's also our finance chair and budget chair, as well as to the budget and finance committee for their great work. David, thank you. Thank you very much, Claudiana. Last words, council president.
Oh, really?
If you wish.
Again, echoing everyone's thoughts is thank you to everyone who made this a lot easier than last year. And Claudiana and Dave can attest to that, as well as Chris, that compared to last year, this year was a breeze. So thank you to all the department heads.
Well, we started 9 minutes late due to technical difficulties, and we're ending at 4 minutes after. So I think we saved 5 minutes there.
There you go. And one day.
Could I have a motion in second to, and oh, Chris, I don't think I said it enough. Thanks for everything you do. I know our department heads especially have complimented you, but great job, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you all again next year. Motion second to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye. We are adjourned.
See you
Thank you.
again.
Plastique.
Yeah, everybody, have a good weekend.
You too.
Take care.